Tonight on 8.5 Pit. Fuck, I can't talk anymore.
No, keep going.
Tonight on 8.5 Bit, we unpack some things, unwrap some packs, and pack in some stealth sections. Welcome, friends of all designers, to episode 299. Oh, one left of meaningless 300 of 8.5 Bit. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me tonight are James.
Hello.
And Sam.
Hi.
And the games in tonight's intro were Unpacking, Inscription, and Metroid Dread for some reason.
So I'm with our almost 300. That's because we had like...
It's a lot of episodes.
Well, because we
it's also nowhere near the actual count.
I think, because we kind of like had some numbers reset.
It's a reboot.
Well, we used to do multiple shows a week, and it was only the main show that was numbered.
Yeah.
So we've got at least like 70 extra on that. Then we had a show with a different name for a while because we went to a thing. It was still the same show, but with a different name. And we have all this spin-off shit and everything. Who knows what the actual count is.
That's a higher number.
Yeah.
But it'll look nice.
Next time we do an episode, it'll say 300 behind us.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Hey, high five.
Yeah. Woo!
Woo! Oh, yeah, Sam too, sorry.
Shitty high five.
Yeah, shitty high
Long
five.
distance.
It has been a while since we recorded anything. That is mostly because I underwent surgery. So this is now Paul talking about his surgery forever podcast. No, I won't. But I had a gastric bypass and it went really well. Yeah. If for any reason you need to talk to someone about that, I guess you could join our Discord and talk to me. I don't care. I'm pretty open. It's good times. Anyway, I can eat food again, which is nice.
Yay! How much eating?
Not very much. Last time I saw the surgeon, he said, "How much are you eating?" Like, "Oh, my meals are like 3/4 of a cup." And he looked at me surprised. It's like, at this point, I'm like, "Yeah." Like, here on the bowl, I'm like, "Oh no, no." I then think, wait, the things I measured them. In, I'm eating 1/4 of a cup, so maybe I'm around a half a cup now. But it's fine because it's easy. It's like, oh no, I have to eat less food. I'm cheaper to feed. Boo-hoo.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So yeah. Medicine is whack, yo. Cool stuff. But anyway, in this time, lots of video games has happened.
That's been a lot.
Yes. And of course,
I've even managed to play some.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually managed to get a couple in.
Yes.
We took such a long...
Yeah, well, because with Roger's sleep giving me like a good 2 hours sometimes a night, most nights, I can actually squeeze in some video games there now. It's been nice.
I mean, for the last, I suppose, all like a month and a half to 2 months, you still only have 4.
Yeah, still not that much. Because I'm often very tired during those 2 hours, and I don't play anything. But I have played some.
You have played some.
More than in recent times.
More than usual. So obviously, it's hard to organize. So we have to catch up on so much news, so many things that happened. So of course we should begin by talking about Jett the Fast Shore, which we've all been talking about. No, I'll talk about that later. Spoiler alert, it's one of the worst games I've ever played.
Oh wow. All right.
Can't wait to talk about that one. But how about let's start with one that actually won't take us that long, because we can't talk about it. Let's talk about Inscription. Surely by now you've at least heard the name Inscription. Daniel Mullins, let's call him a game auteur.
Yeah,
seems
I think it's
fair
fair
enough,
to,
because he is still
that list.
He's like pretty solo in his vision for his game. So Pony Island, The Hex, and now Inscription, which is at its very base a card game.
For better or worse, it is 100% a card game.
You've already lied. Its framing is a bit spooky. You're in a cabin, and there is a spooky character there that has you under duress of some sort, and he wants to play this game with you. As a card game, it starts simple enough. You have you draw cards.
It's like a drafting kind of game.
You
drafting
cards
roguelike
at the beginning. Because obviously card games have lots of mechanics that will come up. We're not going to explain all the mechanics of the game. That would be insane. But basically, things take blood. You have to sacrifice other cards to get blood. So by default, you can play a squirrel that costs nothing, and then you can sacrifice your squirrel and play another card. For example, one of the base cards, the Stoat. And the Stoat very quickly gives you an idea that this game's going to be a bit different because that card talks to you and eggs you on and has like a bit of a relationship with you, and that card will continue through the whole game through, because it is, and well, we're mostly just going to be talking about the very beginning of the game. It is a roguelike in structure, partly.
Kind of. It's a little bit Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
Not.
If you're not aware of Daniel Mullen's work, I think the easiest game is actually to talk about the Hex, because the Hex's base concept is weird. Pony Island is a spoiler to talk about what it is, even though I think basically the Steam description says what it is these days. But the Hex is a murder mystery between 6 characters, and you play each character, but each character is a genre. So you have the adventure game, you have a first person, you have a fighter, and so when you are interacting as each character, you are playing a different genre of game, and they all intertwine, because that's what he loves doing. He loves playing with game genres and those sort of mechanics and trying to subvert expectations. And, these things can go for better or worse. I generally find for better. I've liked all his games. And this one is no exception, and it is the slickest bloody game he's made.
This one is the one where if you take out all the weirdness, it's still a really solid game.
Yes, because when it was first coming out, I went to the Discord, and there were people that had been in the beta, and this is a game that has a narrative, has a beginning and end. But those people had just been doing the card game for 80 plus hours.
And I can see, it's actually surprised me. Like, I went into it expecting it to be like there'd be a card game there, but it'd just be quite kind of like shallow compared to the overall experience. But no, it's like clearly effort has been put into the part of the game.
And it's also, as far as a roguelike goes, still is generated. So, card games are not my favorite genre. One of the things is they can be kind of hard when they get far enough. The game is generous enough that it will not take that many rounds to start getting away through, so you can continue the story if you want.
Because I think we both hit the same, I won't say what it is, but we had a similar strategy at some point.
If I'm remembering correctly, we both beat the game with just squirrels.
Yes.
Except we did it in different ways.
Oh, okay. It was slightly different. Yeah, but I guess after a few goes, it did seem to...
But that basically says a lot. Where the squirrels are the shitty cards.
Yeah.
You can win with them.
Yeah.
And then I suppose just as the beginning of the game, for those that really haven't seen any of it, we're talking about the card game, but also in between rounds, you can just stand up from the table and walk around the cabin, and it's
almost like an escape room.
Almost escape roomish, and it's like having puzzles and things that interrelate to the game and finding out information. And it's creepy and spooky, and it's got some really fucked up things you can do with those cards or anything sometimes. But yes, super highly recommended.
Yeah, 100%.
But also, we basically have said nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole fun of it. And that was... I decided to do a review of it on Z Games. I was like, I can't do a full-length review on this game because all I just say is like, here's the premise, it's really good, trust me. So I interrupted my Metroid Dread review. I pretended to be attacked by a demon, and then the demon did a review of Inscription, and then we finished up the Metroid Dread.
Which almost could canonically be lore for Inscription.
That's what it is, because I got sent code from Devolver Digital, who published it. And I just said, "Oh, by the way, here's a link to the thing. Don't be confused. It's inside the Metroid Dread review."
I hope that made it back to the dev.
Yeah. Like I don't think it was like it wasn't amazing writing or anything, but it was like, hey, let's have some fun with it because he likes having fun. Yeah. So all good.
Like, it seems like a very appropriate way to review.
Yeah. It also sets your expectations.
I haven't checked in on it, but there is a whole ass ARG still going on. It's like.
Yeah, there's other shit going on because that's kind
of and his other games.
Yeah, there is. It is like even so. As I say, there's a story, but there's the base card game that's actually very good, and then there's just a bunch of other secret shit, and you can spend a long time. Basically, if you rush through it, if you kind of really focus on what you're doing, it's kind of like 10, 12 hour long game, but also people have basically been past that just in Act 1. So depending on how you want to play this game, you can spend a lot of time with it if you want, which is cool. So that's Inscription, and it's spelt weird. It's got the word crypt in it. So, how fancy. Language is fun. Okay. Anything else we can put on that? Just a bow.
Think we covered it. Just a bow and a nice little please try it out.
Speaking of things that I think are big, but I think we can actually do quite quickly, Metroid Dread came out.
Yeah.
It feels like a long time ago now, but was after the last
but,
episode. Metroid Dread is the thrilling conclusion of the Metroid saga, which I didn't know I was waiting for a conclusion.
I've had some people ask me about, like, do you need to know about the story?
It was the first time I found out that there's a saga.
Story. yeah.
Which I actually did go back and play Metroid Fusion, and which I think is 4. I think it might be just...
See, I played Samus Returns. I didn't play Tokyo Drift, which would be a great Metroid game.
Oh, yeah, Metroid Tokyo Drift would be good, yeah. And I don't know where Pinball fits in, which admittedly is one of my favorite Metroid games.
There's a Metroid Pinball?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. It's on the DS.
Fantastic.
It's a really solid pinball game, and it has a bunch of, like...
Is the ball just Samus in more form?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And then you'll get certain points where... like enemies will come down and you'll hit her into the middle and she'll stand up, and then you use the flippers to rotate her shooting.
That's amazing.
So it's a real, like, it's creative digital pinball tables, but also it works with the rumble. So you just get, and you don't need much rumble for a pinball game. You just need tap, tap, tap,
just
tap,
a little bit.
but it just feels right. It's on the DS. It legit is a really good game. I really like that game. But yeah, so Metroid Dread is the 5th in a story that I never really paid attention to at all. I was always just like, I guess Ridley's back, and I really don't know what Ridley is.
But there is Zero Mission.
Yeah, Zero.
So it's actually 6?
I don't know what it canonically counts as.
It counts as Dread. It's number Dread.
Yeah. Anyway, they called it Metroid 5.
Yeah.
And the thrilling conclusion of the Metroid saga, which I gotta say, for something that I did not give 2 hoots about the story-wise, some of the story beats in this game are wild. At the end, I was like doing little claps and smiles. I don't know what's going on, but I know what just happened, and that very funny. And I guess to some people, very cool, but I had no investment, so I was like, "This is great melodrama. Yeah. I'm loving it." Okay. So it is very attractive looking. I actually didn't think so beforehand, because most of the demos were in the Emmy areas, which we'll get into, which are kind of a bit bland. Yeah, I was just like, but
there's some really nice environments in that game.
Yeah, really good environments. It's weird. So you start the game like every Metroid game. It's like, hey, look at you with all your powers and cool stuff, prepared to have them all removed, and we're going to go and put you in an environment. And you're going to slowly get all your bits back, and most of them are traversal based, so you'll end up being able to explore areas. What this game does is it's really linear for the most part. Whilst you open up the map, you will then very quickly find out that the wall behind you collapsed, and you can only get through that with a power that you're not going to get for another 5 hours or so. So now you have to keep moving forward. And generally it does it subtly. And sometimes when you're trying to like complete an area, because it's quite good at telling you if there's things you've missed and everything, it's frustrating as hell, because like, I can't go backwards. So to actually get back there, I have to go through the entire game again. And then I find out I can't get the thing I want to get anyway. But whilst being very, very linear for the average player, and I'll count myself as an average player, some of the early reviews were like, and you can't really sequence break in it. Those people are very wrong.
Very, very incorrect. In fact,
wrong.
Sequence breaking is part of the game.
It is.
Like, they've actually... Like, I think...
There are lots of secret breaking.
There's lots of sequence breaking. It handles it well. And I believe there's even abilities, if you can sequence break it for bosses, to have different ways to beat bosses.
There are sequence breaking cutscenes if you've managed to sequence break, to have the right ability early and stuff like that. So it is made for it.
Yeah. That's what kind of... I was surprised that they had that level of play, that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, it was nice they put that in. It's like, if you want to be this super, super hardcore player that hits the button at just the right time to do this thing they're not meant to do.
And generally it's an easy Metroid, because they brought in basically a slightly altered version of the parry from the Metroid Returns remake. And that sort of means you can one-hit most basic enemies, and then they drop health and ammo. So you nearly always pull. Then you hit the bosses. And good learning curve. I didn't find any of the bosses impossible, but they're all like, oh, this is impossible and bullshit. Fuck that. I put it down and I go, I'll go have another look. And then normally by like 3 or 4, I've got the general hang of it. And then by the time I beat it, I do it without taking a hit. I'm like, that feels like the right balance to me. Like, I think there was 1 or 2 bosses where I walked in and killed them first time. I'm like, that's wrong. I'm not that good of a player. But generally I thought the learning curve on that was good. The final boss, which I got frustrated with the first thing, and I didn't look up how to beat, but I looked up how many phases it was, and I went, oh, fuck that. I do not. It's actually, if you count the phases, it's bullshit. It's not a big crazy thing at all. It's like totally doable boss. I mean, actually probably like medium length of beating in the game. So if you're afraid of phases, don't be afraid of it. It's not going to be like, I've fought this for 15 minutes and then I got 1 hit. Shit. No, it's totally fine balance. We all played it, didn't we?
I haven't.
I've
experienced a lot of it.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but I've watched Cheryl play.
Oh, yeah, you watched Cheryl play, didn't you?
Most of it. She hasn't finished it yet. I keep telling her, like, can you finish the game, please? Like, I'm tired.
But you got... But I know you got a story beat that's literally the second last cutscene.
Yeah, I know.
So she just stopped on the final boss.
Yeah. And every time I'm like, hey, sweetie, you want to finish Metroid? It's like,
She says, no, you play more Disco Elysium.
play more Disco Elysium, please.
But you're only the second best twist in the game. The next one comes after, and it's very good.
I know, I want it. But I Cheryl's having trouble with the boss, and she's played it. I can't play it.
It's fine. I'll coach you. And I know how Cheryl plays. She should have pretty much everything in the game. I think she gave up on 1 or 2.
Yeah. She has most items she has.
Yeah, actually, that's my... If I'm going to get in the gritty of complaint-wise, there's one ability which is doing speed boost, and you can reabsorb it and then quickly run somewhere and launch it in a different direction and stuff. It's fine, except you can only play this game with the analog stick. And when you've got to hit very direct directions and anything sloppy on that can lead to goddamn frustration. And I just wish you could switch it over to the D-pad. I don't even remember. I mean, the D-pad, I think you can push directions for some scans and stuff, but I don't care. I'll go to a menu for that stuff, whatever. I would have liked to be able to play it with the D-pad.
The Switch analog sticks are very bad at precise input.
Yeah.
Very bad at it.
Yeah. That was because I think I only had 3 collectibles I didn't get, but I think one of them I didn't even try because I'd already got frustrated in 2 other similar ones. I'm like, you know what? I don't need the cred. Who cares?
There's no achievements on Switch. You can't platinum it.
I think I'll maybe get a different piece of artwork at the end or something. I don't care. Whatever. It's fine. But yeah, overall, really satisfying. Probably one of my favorites.
I mean, it's
hard to line them up, but
I mean, especially if you've never played a Metroid before, you might as well play this one.
It's a bit hard to go back afterwards because the animation is so smooth and slick, and the movement's good.
There's quite a bit of quality of life in there, from what I've seen.
Yeah,
about especially on the map, highlighting doors and knowing what you need to get through certain areas.
The map they could do a little bit better. So if you get an ability and you go I want to see everything this can open. You can go there and select one of them and say, show me all of them. Great, except it doesn't highlight them. It just turns the other ones off.
Yep.
And the map's still really big, and those icons can be really small, and maybe it's fun on a TV. I played it entirely.
But it's better than not knowing at all.
Oh yes, it's good to have it. And it also was quite hard to tell the difference between ones that said were uncollected and ones that were collected. I'm like, wait, is that red or is that light red? I can't.
And the loads are a bit long.
Yes. They got some great animation going in between areas. The game's it kept giving me bored areas. I'm like, do we get another one?
Yeah.
How many areas do we have in this? But yeah, it's I don't know, it feels like a minute between zones.
Yeah, between rooms, it's all fine. It's just whenever you go between zones, it's a bit.
So when you get on an elevator or take a teleport or anything, there's a nice animation, and it's oh, I'm enjoying my ride in the old trolley. That's what Samus sounds like. Samus does talk.
Oh,
yeah, I believe I think she talked in Other M, but that doesn't count. Good times. Okay, let's randomly do some news. Some stuff.
There's enough on there.
That I wrote down that came up as whatever. There's a new Smash character. This is an old piece of news that I put in this list a very long time. It's Sora. Not technically a sword fighter.
That
Those
was one
aren't
of
swords. They're
that
keyblades.
was one of the things, was it? Though, like they said that it wasn't going to be a sword fighter.
No, it's just that no one fucking wanted another sword fighter.
There's just a lot of complaints about more and more sword fighters, and it's like, oh,
'Cause they're all the same.
Someone from Fire Emblem. Hey, how interesting. I see they have a slightly longer sword, but can transform.
Yeah, at least
into
the Three
a slightly
Houses one
shorter.
has an axe and a bow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all the triangle of weapons. Yeah.
Okay. Next one will be very quick. It's the last Sony State of Play, and I'm writing in everything at the State of Play because I can only remember one thing. Oh no, I can remember two things. Two things. And those two things were, it ended with quite a bit of footage from A Little Devil Inside, which keeps evolving and looking cool. It's sort of Victorian explory with a very, very nice art style. But it always confused because it was a Kickstarter game. And at first I thought it was just sort of like a bit of an open world brawler. But it had all this other stuff with an old explorer and everything. I'm like, I don't know the structure of this. Now as they show it more, it isn't an open world. It's more of a, you explore a map and go into vignette things, which mean that those things are really well designed and animated and cool. It's almost a bit like road trippy at a certain point. Like we're going to go on a long trip and we're going to have stops and we're going to hit things on the way, and you might have to fight some little monsters and everything on the way. But yeah, I'd recommend looking it up just for a really attractive looking game at the very least. But it started with Deathverse, Let It Die, which while I remembered it, I did have to look up the name because
What
that
a
is...
name.
Now, may I draw your attention to the subtitle?
Let It Die.
Let it die.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite game, Let It Die, has a spin-off.
Are the servers even still running for Let It Die?
I don't know.
Have they let it die?
I don't know. See, I liked Let It Die, except I didn't like any of the free-to-play
Well, 'cause that was the problem. Yeah, it was this
multiplayer
weird,
trappings.
It was
I'm like,
all the free-to-play stuff.
Yeah. I always just had a secret hope of like, maybe they'll just retool this game to be a good single-player game one day. And they didn't.
But we've got a spin-off.
But now it's a spin-off, and it's free-to-play multiplayer. But this one's more of, I guess, a character shooter, but more deathmatchy. It's a game show of the future that's ultra-violent, and we've seen that many times. But it could be wacky. I mean, Let It Die had some cool ideas with things and everything. It's going to be free to play, so you can check it out when it comes out. Oh, the other big news. More Bug Snacks is on the way. There's a new area to explore, and more importantly, you can put some hats on Bug Snacks.
And it's free.
It's free update. And
you love some free things.
And if you got Bug Snacks for free
Already.
because you bought an expensive console with very few games on it. The other one was they announced that Death's Door was coming to PlayStation.
I believe it's coming to Switch as
Switch,
well.
Yes, that was the underlying. Because it was a PlayStation event, it just ended with coming to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then it was also announced elsewhere that it's also coming to Switch on the same day. And I can say I have it, but I can't tell you what this port is like yet. I can tell you next episode. Cool.
For a game that's already technically out.
Yeah, but I mean, I like if a publisher lets me look at a Switch port.
Yeah.
Well, one, if they let me, they're confident to begin with, which is always good. But also, Switch port, like good games, a Switch port can be very variable. I mean, Nintendo can't always release good running games. Man, Sony site's bloody terrible. It keeps going back to the top every time. But I don't think there's anything else we really want to talk to.
There was First Class Trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's out. Have you played it?
Yeah, it's already out. No, and that's what I was going to say. Like, they announced the thing. And I guess it's like a...
I hit download on it.
Yeah, I did as well. What was that old Steam game?
The Ship. Yes, it looks like a worse version of a 15-year-old Steam game.
Yeah, but I guess they're going up for that kind of Among Us kind of style of thing.
They had the strength to look at an overcrowded marketplace and say, me too.
I've seen people playing this on PC.
Yeah.
I just realised what game it is.
Yeah, like it looked fine.
It's okay.
But
it didn't look fine.
No.
It looked fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't like refined.
fine.
Yeah, it's
Like my one experience of it was me watching groups of friends play it, like drunk.
Groups
Which is
of friends
kind of what
make
it's designed
everything
for.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You just
it's-
put any game in that mix and you're good to go.
Is it free on PC? It's
I have
free
no
on
idea.
PlayStation.
Yeah, it's
I
like-
assume it is.
Yeah. It's a social manipulation Among Us style game, but in third person. And yeah, in sort of a
And you can
20s?
you can do your tasks or you can drink champagne and smoke.
I can't do any of those things. So I'll do them in a video game. Yes, I'll do it in Mafia Definitive Edition, which is objectively worse than the original. Speaking of which,
Fucking perfect segue.
since the last episode, they both announced and have now released GTA Trilogy, the remastered edition.
Now-
all the best versions
best
of all
versions
GTA
of those
games.
games.
My favorite bug was the one we saw today.
The car
Oh,
one.
let's not run to it.
Oh, okay,
let's
alright.
save that near the end. So when this was first released, they released a trailer and some shots, and there was a bit of negativity around it, mainly because it's a bit more cartoony.
Which I actually like the style.
I was fine with, and generally everything looked good. As more stuff started to come out, one thing became apparent, that most of this HD upscaling of the models was being done by an AI, and often not
Press that
checked by a human being.
Press that
Yeah.
smooth button.
Yeah.
The best one was simply there's like a donut shop just called like Those Are Nuts or something.
It was nuts and bolts. Wasn't
Nuts and that sounds fine. Yeah, either way, it needs
Something
to have
like that.
nuts in the thing because it had lug nuts on its logo.
The thing that we all know is hexagon shaped.
Yeah, and they got updated to be round. I don't.
It's now a circle.
You need a really good spanner to get those fuckers on. So yeah, real lack of care.
Yeah,
Then-
like, how did that not get picked up in playtesting?
I don't think they
because
played
they
it.
did.
Yeah.
Hit the button and then hit launch.
Yeah.
It kept getting better. Then, suddenly, PC players can't play it anymore. The entire Rockstar launcher goes down. Oh, it's maintenance. We decided to do maintenance on the day it launched. Yeah, everyone believes this. Then it does eventually come back up, but you cannot buy the game anymore. Why? Why, I hear you ask?
Did they pull the old versions as well from
Yes,
Steam?
the old versions got pulled as well. You can't buy the originals anymore.
But you could probably still go grab a key off a key site
It's
somewhere if you really
interesting
want
because
it.
Rockstar's always, or at least they have been, very good about letting you access their old games. So now they're just like, yeah, fuck it.
Also, it's fun to point out that GTA kind of started as like a satire of like consumerism and big business. All this like, where it's like, not anymore. Anyway, it got pulled for a couple of very good reasons. Well, one of the, you know what? I don't do this often, but I'm gonna say, big cause of this is lazy devs. Why lazy? Because they included all of the original soundtrack, including I think one song that wasn't even on the original soundtrack because even then they couldn't get the rights for it. Yes, and I say because they didn't have the rights for almost all of that music. What they did was basically comment it out.
Well, because like, isn't like the hot coffee code still in there?
/
That was the next
go.
one.
Yeah.
That's also there. Also was the non-compiled scripting for all three games with all the original developer comments in it. Which, whilst not legally getting you in trouble, normally we don't do that. Even if you release source, you take out the comments because there can be all sorts of shit in there.
It should be part of the rollout. Like,
Yes,
Just
these
remove
files
comments.
should not. Yeah, it's like so when you're working like with the music, it's like you remove it from the script, so it's not going to play, and then
Well,
remove the things that will cost you tens of thousands of
remove the
dollars.
asset.
you also
per
remove the
thing.
asset. Yeah.
Yeah. Get it out of there.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, if someone really wants that song, songs are easy to get. Don't distribute music
It
if you
was-
don't have the rights
it was
for it,
one of
because it
the-
will cost you a lot of money.
one of the biggest tips I ever saw about doing game dev
Yeah.
in general, like as a small indie developer, is when you start a project and you're just prototyping and you're using assets from fucking wherever and you're saving images of Google to do stuff, it all goes in one folder.
Yeah, you
and
have-
you delete the folder
Yes.
when you think you're done,
Yeah.
and you see if anything doesn't exist
If anything
anymore.
breaks, yeah.
100%. You have your dev folder, and
Like, this is
everything
my
goes in there.
do not launch
Yeah.
with this folder, and then you launch with that folder that says delete this one
Yeah.
launch. Yeah.
So mixed reaction from the community. It's currently on Metacritic community rating, each game is a 0.5.
I think it's 0.5 last
which
I heard.
is like still not like this is like I get review bombing, especially when, but also it's still not indicative of the game. Like it's
game's
still,
fine.
They're still
Again,
the GTA
playable.
game.
yeah, it's a bad version of the GTA game, but it's still okay. It's still what it is. Yeah, it's not a 0.5. 0.5 is big rigs. Even then, but you know, we get the context. I'm not going to want to. So lots of fun things, and this morning James linked us to something that I loved so much. I watched it all throughout the day. It was a bug. Do you want to describe your bug, James?
So when driving your car, if you wiggle your car, it will slowly increase the scale of the car and get bigger, and the wheels will get wonky, and you end up with a giant car. And I was trying to think, what caused, like how could this happen? The only thing I could think of was that for some reason, when you swivel the car, it does some deformation on the car for whatever reason. It deforms the mesh for some reason, and they're not resetting it. And so rather than like applying that deformation from a base value, it's applying it from an existing value. And so it's cumulative. The more you wiggle it,
I'm going to go talk to some speedrunners I know, because I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah, like that's the only way I could think of, like, how the hell is this getting bigger? There's some kind of deformation that's not being reset properly. But the car ends up getting very big.
If they remove this
large car,
I'm going to go give them a 0 on Metroid.
it should just be part of the game. They should add it. They should add it to GTA 5.
Yeah, it should deliberately be there. Because it was one of those things, like when at first I started watching it, I'm like, what? I don't get...
It's not getting bigger. It's fine.
Something does feel odd about this. Oh, like it's subtle. Like it's subtle enough that in casual play, I'm sure it went unnoticed. But if you're deliberately doing it, it's very funny and very good. It's the best kind of bug. So yeah, look it up. So yeah, GTA Trilogy. Not everything Rockstar promised.
You can go grab what's the Game Pass one?
San Andreas.
San Andreas one.
And
San
on
Andreas
PlayStation
on
now, PlayStation now is GTA 3. And I don't know if Vice City's on anything.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah.
if you want to check
It's
it
on
out
the
for
phone, I
free,
believe.
then...
Because I'm pretty sure all of them have mobile versions.
But I don't know.
Well, the apparently, this is the studio that did the mobile ports, and apparently it's a port of the mobile ports.
Okay.
I'm not an expert. I'm just repeating what I see on Reddit.
Because I have the old mobile version.
Yeah.
Released years and years ago, but I never played it because it's all virtual controls and it's just horrible. It is horrible to play.
There's an update to controls and everything, which especially like it's not all bad. It's just that it's been done carelessly.
Enough of it is bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
like the stuff they added by like having it so you can just restart missions. You know, like they added like good stuff in there.
If they like. I lost my thought of train there. Don't know what I was going to say. Something good positive about it, so I forgot already.
If they fix it, I mean...
Yeah, if it wasn't like to buy the trilogy is a full price game.
So I don't think you can buy them individually either. Can you?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
You can certainly get them in those services individually, but that might be the only way.
Yeah.
Because it's just don't buy it.
Yeah.
Wait for something or wait for it on sale as a laugh. I mean, things like and the truth is. They are only games that I want to revisit. I don't want to go play through them again because they're 20-year-old versions of games that were quite janky when they came out.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I never played the story actually any GTA.
I played through entirety of Vice City. And I'm like, I've got fond memories of it.
It's
but
the whole point to
like,
spam all the cheats and then fuck around.
Yeah, that's why I play it.
Get the tanks.
Just get the tank and
But
fly the tank around.
You can get a tank and you can wiggle it back and forth.
You can
make it a really big
massive
tank.
Okay. I have continued, as I often do, to pretty much weekly play Deep Rock Galactic. And Deep Rock Galactic has two things to talk about. One, they've crossed 3 million sales, which for a small game is pretty good. Also, they just released a major update, which introduces a whole bunch of a big game mode, which is now you're not just fighting bugs in mines. There's another faction. And you got to fight some robots now. There's a big new mission type where you've got to go and take out like this robot thing. And it's hard as fuck.
Is the behavior of the robots much different than the bugs?
Yeah, totally different. Yeah, it's not like a reskin of the thing. they will include the bugs at the same time. So you get robots and bugs. So things that can snipe you whilst you're fighting things that can swarm you.
Good times.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a game that is just continuously offering more to the community. Like, they've introduced season passes, which made some of the community angry, which was very confusing because you can't buy anything. And they have said they will never have any of them purchasable. And once the season pass is over, you can still get everything out of the season pass. It's just for those people that have put in hundreds of hours and need something else to do. It's like,
So it's a season pass they give for free and you keep afterwards anyway.
yeah. It's just like
It's just a list of challenges at that point.
yeah. It's a list of challenges
It's
that
an
they'll
organised list of
update once a
challenges.
year or whatever. Yeah. It's like, go through. I think the first pass is supposed to take in 100 hours to really beat. So I'm obviously up to like level 3 because I don't play it that much.
I love battle passes because it's a way, because I didn't give a shit.
They're a
Like,
fantastic way to keep engagement.
Yeah, like I've never bought a battle pass. Like, I don't care, but they never get in the way of me having fun. And for the people that do want to do that 100 hours in the one game, it's there for them. They can do it.
And I quite like, because I think Halo's doing it as well, where it's like non-expiring battle passes.
Yeah.
So it's like
You're
you
not
can
time
just
limited.
yeah, because if you do want to do it, but you are someone that has other things to do in life, battle passes can be pretty.
Yeah,
inaccessible.
and it's nice because like one of the more insidious things about the battle passes is the paying to progress. So they just leveraging that FOMO as you get close to the end. It's like, oh, I better drop whatever
I better
$100
buy
into
30
this
levels,
thing, to push myself over the edge. So taking that out of the equation is nice. It's just yeah, I know. It's
just another goal to catch.
It's one of those free to play mechanics which I've always liked because like I don't think it detracts from the experience. It's always just have some extra cosmetic shit. If you're the kind of player who cares. If you're not, then whatever, ignore it. You'll still be able to play everything.
To jump out of news, to segue into the game we just spoke of, Halo Infinite came out yesterday.
Oh, the multiplayer came out. We hadn't had the single player yet.
Yeah.
So basically, Halo
But so Halo's
came
out,
out.
yeah.
So Halo Infinite came out. It dropped early, and everyone only knew it about a week beforehand. But it was a surprise. And some things call it a beta, and some things just say, no, this is it. Either way, it's not changing because it's near release anyway. So yeah, it's out, and I have played so much. I'm going to have such a great hot take. It's a Halo game, and it controls well with a mouse and keyboard. James.
I've played it on my television with only a controller, so I haven't tried it with mouse and keyboard. I'm glad to hear that it plays well with mouse and keyboard because other Halo games do not.
Oh, I tried the Master Chief Collection, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I hated it.
Disgusting.
That felt
I
gross.
was like, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to play Halo because I've never played them all through. And I booted it up, and I think 2 missions in, I was like, fuck
I
this.
didn't last that long. I was
Fuck
like,
this
I
shit.
don't know why, but I hate this. Weirdly, I did have some initial resistance, which was that for some reason, maybe it's just the look of the game. I'm like, cool, here I go, Titanfall 2. Hey, why can't I do all that? Oh, because it's not Titanfall.
No, and
this is fine.
And I've played a bit of it. I've probably played maybe 7 or 8 matches now. I have learnt not to play it when tired because I'll just get frustrated and annoyed. But I appreciate it as just a solid Halo game. The last Halo I played that I enjoyed multiplayer was 5. I tried to play some of Master Chief Collection, but I found it a little bit jarring, jumping between the different game modes because they're all slightly different. I was a bit not confused. I missed the dash from 5. I don't know if you've played 5. It's because like 5 has basically a dash button, which is love. Cause I love like that kind of mobility. And there is an ability you can get which gives you dash, so you can quickly go left, right, up. I don't think you can go. I think it's just lateral. You can go. But yeah, I was just looking for the button. It's like, how do I dash? Because I really want to dash around that corner. But no, it's got the high time to kill, which is like way higher than most shooters, which I really like because
which, if you're playing tactically, still isn't that long. You can still take someone out in like a couple of seconds, but it still gives, in most cases,
reaction time.
Some reaction time. But there can be a response.
It's a bit tricky because like if you start getting taken down and you don't really know where it's coming from, effectively you're dead because like you might be able to run away and get around a corner, but if you were to turn around and shoot them, they'd be shooting you for like too long for you to be able to return the fire unless you've got But I guess Halo tends to be more about power weapon control and I guess a bit more strategic and a bit less twitchy because because that time to kill is so high.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played a bunch of the quick games, which are like 4-on-4. And I really loved it. The first map it threw me in just had vehicles. I was like, because someone who's played a lot of Destiny, and like it's really never like, especially Destiny 2, is just like they've really dropped the ball on vehicles in that game. It's like, there's a warthog, and I can jump in the back of it, and like this is it. Like this is great. This is what I want.
This is the Halo.
It's Halo. But yeah, the gunplay feels pretty good. It runs. I think it's running at like 120 hertz frames on my TV.
Seems to run pretty well.
Yeah, because it's got like high frame rate support, which is I guess because they got this thing running on an Xbox One, so there's probably a lot of room there.
Yeah.
To have it run nice.
And I know it was a priority for the high frame rate with the design.
But yeah, so it feels good. I've also tried some of the big matches, which I think is 24 and 24.
I wasn't able to get in, but that's because I'm very, very impatient.
Okay. Yeah, I just waited.
I hit 2 minutes and like, no,
I didn't have as much of a good time in that one. Just because I basically lost a lot, and I think I need to learn the game modes a bit more. One of the things that I wish it had is I kind of want to turn off crossplay. Because I'm pretty sure I'm playing with mouse and keyboard.
I don't think you can turn off crossplay.
I think the only way you can turn it off is ranked. I think if you play ranked, you can just. But I'm not interested in playing ranked. So I don't know how we'll go with that. Like it's sort of like playing against a bunch of people with mouse and keyboard.
Time to play it on PC.
Yeah, well,
you can be that person.
Problem solved.
Yeah,
sniping some noobs with your pistol from the other side of the map.
But I think I really want to give it a go with a headset. Like in quick play with like 4 people on a team, because I think that could be pretty fun. Like I played a little bit with Cal from Discord, and just having someone else that I know, even though I couldn't talk to him, we were kind of sticking together a bit more, and we're doing pretty well. But yeah, like, so far it's what I've wanted it to be. Like I like Halo multiplayer. I like their death mode. They're shooting. I like the capture the flag stuff. And
I like Halo multiplayer too, but it doesn't come out for me for another 8 months at least.
What?
Well, because co-op's not shipping with the campaign.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Co-op. Okay.
Because I don't give a shit about competitive multiplayer. I mean,
yeah.
I can enjoy it, but I don't care that much.
Yeah.
So the campaign comes out in December, but game co-op is at least 6 months after that, at least.
Yeah, and I guess because there's been so much redevelopment on that game, I'm not surprised.
Co-op seems so core to... Like, I almost
100% it should
just
be
delay
there.
the whole campaign.
It is a bit sad it's not there, and it feels like a progression of like Halo 5. It's like they dropped the no split screen, and I was like, oh, okay, no split, that sucks. And now they've gone, well, we're gonna ship without even having co-op in there. But yeah,
who's gonna stand in the back of my Warthog?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what co-op ends up being.
No one plays on the same side as their friends these days.
Like, I don't know what the
I'm a deep rock boy, rock and stone forever, Carl.
I'm not sure what the long-term goals are for this game. Like, if like they want to like kind of content they're going to add to it, or
it's just going to be a living game. Like all the other, you got your passes, you got constantly coming challenges and ranks. And
if they're adding co-op down the line, and maybe they're adding new content as well, that could be.
Well, that stuff's probably just going to be a campaign, and you just have to buy that unless you're in Game Pass.
Yeah,
which makes me laugh. But I mean, a lot of people are playing it not on Xbox Live, like they're just playing it on Steam or whatever. And if they want the campaign, they'll have to pony up. I don't know how much. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to be doing much of that stuff because I think their focus really is the multiplayer.
So the multiplayer, and that's going to be, there's just lots of cosmetics. It's the Battle Pass stuff. There's just lots of cosmetics to unlock. There'll be seasons, and
I'm sure they'll make
all that stuff. They'll make a lot of money from it. It has been like I mean, think about Game Pass and some of the stuff I've been seeing on there, and there does seem to be more of like the games going in already set up to monetize, and so it's like I am kind of like I'm paying for this thing, which is. I guess a lot of AAA games are doing it anyway, but I don't know. Just like it's better that like I'm like say something like Far Cry including like monetization for like $100 game.
They've had that for a while.
Yeah, they've had it for a while, but I think that
at least since
Game Pass it bothers me.
Yeah, 5.
It bothers me less because like I'm already getting this stuff like. so cheap. And if they like have another revenue stream on top of it, then more power to
it's
them.
100%. Like even if whenever Epic gives away like a more recent game, it's because the expansion's about to come out.
Yes,
something like
yeah,
that.
I've always put
It is
out.
just marketing, and it is just part of it. Because the thing is, like, you get someone in
It's
those
the
ecosystems.
initial buy-in for free in order to then make you spend money on the extras.
Yeah.
It's printers and printer ink.
Yeah. And thankfully, when you got people like me that are like, I'm going to play 20 games this week, I'm never going to buy that.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Got to play some indie bullshit. So Halo Infinite, you can play it on
Play
your
it for free,
PlayStation.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a browser? No, you can't do that.
Like if you open up the browser, connect to
You can play it with a DualShock on your PC.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Fun. This piece of news, because we're just going to jump between news and stuff now, because this has no structure. Meta.
Oh yeah.
Facebook had
Meta-
it's Facebook Connect, which is mostly normally a VR focused thing, but this time it was time to talk about the metaverse, and for some reason, Mr. Zuckerberg thought I should present all of this. Normally, you imagine the CEO just going like, "Hi, let me hand it off to some people that aren't creepy
Well, you
robots."
see,
It's
like,
that one shot where
Yeah.
he like walks off screen, then when he walks back on, he's just like staring straight.
well, because even Apple will do like, here is here's Cook,
Here's the one sentence we've
you
allowed
mean
us.
Tim Apple.
here's Tim Apple.
It's the one sentence approved by HR
Yeah.
that you're allowed to say, and then fuck off.
Yeah. He did the whole, and he kept like trying to bring in like jokes about him to like win over the audience and everything, but.
I did
You-
a bit of a chuckle at that.
Some of them were just. He really went into
He's
the whole
trying
like.
to play into the like, haha, everyone thinks I'm a robot, and it just makes him look like more of
you
a
are
robot.
a robot. I don't think the way that he got excited about like, yeah, so you'll be able to go to a virtual after party and you'll be able to buy NFT merch for the weekend. I'm like, that sounds like a dystopian nightmare, which I hope to never ever interact with. I don't think his ideas of the metaverse are particularly compelling, and some of them might come into format. What I really enjoyed, my favorite thing, we'll get back to. Oh yeah, Facebook changed its name to Meta, but that's the company, not
Facebook is a
still
platform.
Facebook.
Will still be Facebook. Yeah.
But this is a whole conference, and one of the other speakers was John Carmack, and John Carmack is he's not diagnosed as autistic, is he? He certainly is a man on a special spectrum.
There is a spectrum, and he sits on it somewhere.
And he also sits on the genius spectrum, but he doesn't give two fucks about being, polite. So they're like, the metaverse, like, yeah, I told Mark not to do it. It's dumb. He doesn't know what he's doing. And these aren't quotes, but this is the general gist of it. It's like, I've said for ages, it's like, you can't make a platform, you have to make a product, and then that can evolve. Like, and his example was, he's never made a game engine. Mm-hmm. He has made games, and then that engine became applicable for other people to use. But he's never sat down to make like, this will be the next generation of game engines that everyone will use.
He never makes the solution looking for a problem.
Yes,
there's also there's always a problem first.
Yeah. And that's like, the whole metaverse thing was just like, this isn't a realistic thing that looks engaging. Some of the core concepts are there, and other people are already doing them.
They're trying to get ahead of the curve
Yeah.
trend, but it's not really going to help.
Yeah,
Other
and lots
than
and
the fact
lots
that
of
they
bad
can-
acting of just the like, wow, this is great. Thanks for coming to my cool party.
Yeah. Like, I do think there will be some form of whatever metaverse is going forward. Like, even just come off Roblox, because Roblox is effectively metaverse.
Yes.
But,
and it's a platform. And
yeah.
It's like a thing,
And there are a bunch of people growing up that is, say, like their playground. And so, like, the concept of there being this space, this virtual space that people are in, I think will be more palatable to someone who grows up using that platform.
I'm down with it. And speaking of, like, when we were saying Carmack before, literally Carmack has spent his entire career wanting to make metaverse. It is his obsession. He wants that, that's why he's in VR. That's why, like, he saw the holodeck in Star Trek and was like, that's what I want. This is life. I need to do this. So he's not like anti-metaverse. He's just anti the way it's going. But yeah, things like Roblox. I think it's sort of like the companies want to get so in and so ingrained that basically they get to be the new internet. It's like, oh, everything will integrate with us. It's like, I don't know if they go. I think you'll have like your Roblox and you'll have your Microsoft like, oh, Office 365. Everyone join up to 3D Teams. Some of you are
It's the
3D
problem
and some of you are
of,
AR
like,
and
the
whatever.
idea of a metaverse in general
Yeah.
is everything's interconnected, and it's all just one big thing. And it's like every single application of tech we've ever seen that's tried to do that has always split.
Well, it's like when
Always. That's why
whenever
we have
they
500 streaming services.
Yeah.
One thing's not going to happen.
Whenever like they try to pitch like for gaming, like with NFTs and everything, and like what's the thing? It's like, well, you could buy a sword and then you could take it into all your games. I'm like,
And
How-
every designer who has to balance things just cried at once.
yeah, they just say like, how would that even like this is a sci-fi shooter. Well, you're going to bring a sword in. We haven't made any animation rig. It doesn't have like we could put the model there, I guess. The fuck?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, there are ways it could be made to work. Like it'd be like with Roblox, there'd be like if you want to make a shirt, they can just be a standard. So it can be like if you want to make a weapon, it needs to conform to this.
Yeah.
This. It needs to be this rig.
You need framework.
Yeah, like there needs to be.
but can you imagine even just on the scale of like a PlayStation saying like, oh, by the way, every PlayStation game you have to support all of the costumes that we've made, and it's just like that.
No. So the way that could work. The way it would work would be here is a rig. Okay, you need to make a thing that works on this rig, and then that's streamed from somewhere. So it's like, all right, here's
But
like,
why would that rig work in every game?
because if you put a rig into a game, it'd have to be a standard rig. It'd have to be like, all right,
Yeah, but it's like it's just not applicable. Like games don't have anything that's applicable to all games.
yeah.
Give me an example.
Like any basic rig, like if you like you get like
Just give me one example.
like the Unreal player rig, which would be used in a bunch of different games.
Yeah,
Like-
but I want a specific example of one that exists in all games.
No, not all games. It'd be a subset of games that would support
Yeah,
it.
but we're talking about the metaverse of why it makes no sense. Like, a company could do this.
But-
Ubisoft could do it. It might not make any sense to put it in Trackmania when it's like, oh, this is the thing
That
for
would make
Far
the
Okay,
most
Cry.
sense.
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying tech is 100% from a technical
Oh, the tech
perspective.
can exist.
Okay,
It's just like a pipe dream
and
that isn't practical in any way.
I'll tell you how it'd work.
Uh-huh.
So it'd be, okay, you want your game to be metaverse supported.
Uh-huh.
Where you can buy a car, you can buy a weapon, you can buy an
Yeah.
outfit, whatever, okay?
I'm making Bubba as you too.
Okay. No, but that's not for the
But do you want it to be metaverse supported?
I do.
Then you need to be able to have the car, the gun, the weapon,
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
Yeah. So then what you do is you go, okay, well, for me to support that, I have to build my game using this car rig.
Uh-huh.
And I get the car rig and it's like, okay, I import the asset. It's all set up to have a mesh and a texture attached to it.
Yeah.
Then I go, okay, load up the game, get the NFT. This NFT is attached to this mesh, this texture. Download, apply. Like, from a technical perspective, that's what it'd be doing. It's not impossible.
So basically, like...
It's
I've-
standardizing everything.
Yeah, I basically
Yeah.
never had any problem with the technical side of
Yeah.
it. It was merely the practical side of
Yeah.
it that made absolutely no
yeah.
sense.
Now, I don't
Because
think...
as we know, standardizing things
Yeah.
is so
Never
easy.
happens, yeah.
And I don't think that's going to happen. Because
No.
I don't think anyone
Because
really
it doesn't make any
wants
sense.
that.
It doesn't help
No,
anything.
we should do.
Yeah.
We should create a new standard.
Yeah.
that XKCD.
The 8.5-bit standard, yeah.
It's like
It's
everyone trying to use JavaScript. We should just make a new standard.
It's actually
And now there's
just-
17 standards.
It's a genital rig, so it must be included in all
Yeah.
games.
How I reckon this NFT stuff is going to work in practice, it's going to be I can go on to I'm going to get an Ubisoft game, and because they're going to support NFTs and EA is going to support NFTs.
For one generation, yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be okay. So what does that mean? I think what that's going to mean is I can go in the shop and there'll be some kind of costume or gun skin or something like
Yep.
that. There will be the base version, which costs $1,
And then,
and then
the
there's
NFT
the
version.
NFT version, which costs $4, and that's the version I can sell for real money somewhere else.
You want to know the best part about all of this is that none of that needs to be NFTs.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Steam marketplace is doing
But
that.
Yeah. and also, if it's only the games that
Why
by
would
one
they?
company.
Why would they decentralize it?
It's only so they can use the word NFT.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that they
pretty
can
much.
Yeah, it's
market it.
because
It's not fungible. Pay more money.
I love fungibility. Anyway, no more NFT talk.
We should launch FTs.
Fungible
Tokens that can
tokens.
change anytime, any place. You have no idea what it's going to be tomorrow.
It's amazing. It's the most exciting thing I've ever bought. Okay. Oh, hey, shit. Is this that? Okay, speaking of time is a flat circle. All of Twitch leaked.
Oh yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
feels like that was about 6 years ago now.
That sure is a thing.
what's it written in?
I don't know. Haven't looked.
I feel it's PHP, but
Probably.
But like,
I mean, the chat is IRC.
yeah.
yeah. Oh,
it
it's
just
it's
literally
an
is
IRC server.
Yeah, you can just connect to it with an IRC client.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Every single streamer is a room, a channel.
Okay.
That's
in
cool.
IRC.
I didn't know that.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But what
So-
it means is that mods in Twitch streamers are literally just fucking O mods in IRC. Like,
Man, I haven't
just
loaded up
IRC as a
IRC
back
in
end.
years.
It's fantastic.
I mean, why not? It's like, what else do you really need?
I think the interesting thing about the Twitch leak is that the biggest news around it was how much people were getting paid.
Yeah.
Slash
yeah.
weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
And not the fact that all of the source code got leaked.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
a huge disaster for them.
Well, I mean, but don't we want Mixer's code? It was a bit better.
Potentially. But like, just from a standpoint of like, what's the worst thing out of this? Probably all the
Yeah.
source code.
Yes.
And it got glossed over.
Yeah, just for like, here is the news. It's like, lo and behold,
Yeah.
most people don't make any money on
Yeah.
Twitch.
Yeah.
I'm shocked
The
and
top
appalled.
the top 0.1% of streamers aren't making minimum wage. Or shit like that. Like, it's like the top of the top
Yeah.
are the ones making money. And it's like
Yeah.
0.001%.
The people at the top make a lot of money, and then everyone else below it is, yeah. You're not like, if you're doing it for some pocket change, it's great if you can get some. But that's why whenever I get someone that's like, I want to be a streamer, I'm like, do you like doing it? It's
Yeah.
like this show. We'll never ever make it cost us money.
It's
This is for us for having fun. This
it's
is so we can
interesting
catch up as friends.
on the Twitch thing, like the top,
Yeah.
because the top one was Critical Role,
Yeah.
and it started this huge rift in the Critical Role community.
Did it?
Because half the people are pissed off that they made $9 million, and the other half are actually intelligent.
Yeah.
Because
Critical
all of that
Role-
money has come from people wanting to support them. They made $14 million on a Kickstarter in a month. That the community went, you only wanted 800,000. Here's $14 million. And then people forget that they made $9 million off Twitch in a year and a half as a company running out of an LA studio.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Critical
And
Role's like a whole...
That's not $9 million
like,
profit.
It's not just the people on the show
It's-
itself.
it's
They've got a team
fucking
of support
12
and
voice
advertising
actors,
and all
full
sorts of
production
shit.
company, a whole studio in LA.
Yeah,
Like, that shit ain't cheap.
$9 million's not covering their costs.
No.
That's just part of their business. I mean, it's still good. I'm sure it's good, but yeah,
it's weird to see people react to that kind of thing.
People
of,
don't
like,
understand money.
Yeah.
It's what I do at work. Because I work at a school. If you forgot, nice and appropriate. And kids are like, the school, complaining about this money and everything. I'm like, okay, look at the school. Now take an average wage, and they normally get the average wages pretty wrong. But I'll let them sit with like 50K or something. It's like, okay, let's say everyone here now count the number of teachers at the school. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it costs millions of dollars to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, you think that's a lot of money. It is not a lot of money. I mean, it is, but also it is not. It's like
It's
once
just
you
any business that has more than like 10 staff immediately has a lot of costs.
yeah, exactly.
Just straight
Well,
up.
like, I mean, at least like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the rule of thumb was like $10,000 per man month is like what you look for, like budgeting something out, and that's for like like a medium-sized studio.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. When you start doing the maths on that, it does not take long for
Numbers
numbers
get
to get
weird.
big. Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just a matter. There was a local thing that was saying like, this bridge costs this much money. It's ridiculous. And my response was just like, is it? How much do bridges cost otherwise? It seems like there's probably a lot of hidden costs in a
Yeah.
bridge.
And-
Sounds like a lot, but
also,
it's a bridge.
if you-
There's a lot of liability there.
And if you want to get into the economics of it, it's sort of like, maybe that bridge costs, I don't know, $200 million or something like that.
Not this bridge, but
what was this
some
bridge?
bridges do. I mean, it was a couple of million.
I say
but
a
it's just a
couple of
little
million,
footbridge.
but that money has gone to people who have been building it and the materials. There was a really good Bluey episode.
Bluey's great.
Which has a little message on economics, where it had like a $5 note that I think it was little Bluey.
I don't
that had
think I've
it.
seen this one.
Yeah,
Maybe no spoilers.
And it just showed like this $5 and it had a little sticker on it.
Of like all the places it goes.
Oh, just like so you can just keep track of it. It had this little montage of like, Bluey gave the $5 to this person, then to this person, and this person, and this person. So when you start talking about the cost of like being, especially when it comes to like stuff that's being built in your city, where people potentially have worked on it, like, that money's being spent, but that person's been paying taxes to, like it's money coming back. Anyway, it's a weird thing to get angry about. Like, it's if you're going to spend a lot of money in a community, isn't that a good thing? Like, what's the alternative? Like,
Look, I think we're all very pro spending in communities and running the economy, We have a lot of video games.
Sorry. Anyway.
And you want to go home for
Oh,
sleep.
sorry. All right, it's
eventually.
okay. It's okay. Keep going.
James is
I'll-
staying here tonight. It's fine.
I saw this Disco Elysium being. It's been changing my political
Can't wait till you
views.
start the fascist.
That's why we need to start the fascist run real soon. It's going to be great. God of War is coming to PC, and PC's also PlayStation's also started a PC label. Cool. I didn't really care at all, and then I remembered Sam's really widescreen monitor, and I was like, "Oh,
I've never played
cool.
God of War.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in for
No.
you're in
All
for
of the
game.
PlayStation exclusives I haven't touched.
you are in for a treat, my friend.
So now that they're just coming to PC, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Played on my wide monitor. And
So-
it'll be fine.
I write notes over just the period over between episodes. So obviously some of these notes are quite old. So this one I was obviously in a mood. Expansion pass for Nintendo Online can suck all of our dicks. I had feelings. So Nintendo announced their expansion pass online, which I think we did cover previously.
We did a little bit.
Includes the new expansion pack for Animal Crossing and some exciting N64 games, which
None of which run properly.
which run a little bit like not like unplayable, but a little bit like arse.
They're like the N64 version of the GTA 3 remasters.
Yeah, not great. If you hack your Switch, you can play them much better. Yeah. So no, I don't know anyone that's done the expansion pass,
I haven't.
and I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the shame in Sam's face.
Oh.
Because I started playing Animal Crossing again.
See, this is where I did
and
think.
I went, I could buy it outright. Or I could know that I'm going to stop playing it again.
Oh, so you knew you were going to stop playing.
And just pay for a year of this expansion pass shit.
'Cause it's
And
a little
within
bit
that
cheaper.
year, I should also be able to play Banjo-Kazooie on my Switch.
Because it's a little bit cheaper if you buy it. It's just then if you bought it for
tiny-
a second year, you'd be paying
but
way
it's
more
going to be
for
that
it.
1 year, and then in a year, I know I'm not going to be playing Animal Crossing, so I'm not going to give a shit about that
Or
DLC.
there'll be another expansion out,
Yeah.
and you just subscribe again.
Yeah.
But weirdly,
Something else will be put in there.
then you've got to buy the first expansion.
Oh, probably.
They
it'd
swap them out.
be a very Nintendo thing to do.
You're very
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Like, I don't mind the idea of there being an expansion pass for like if there was enough DLC coming out for things.
if they if they were including other DLC.
Yeah, the fact that it's just the one seems a bit
Yeah, just
odd.
for the one game, it's like okay, I actually haven't touched that
Bundle
game
your old
in
DLC in
almost
there.
a year
Yeah.
now.
Bundle the Mario Kart stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting all of that in, and if there had been some care taken with the N64 stuff,
Mm.
I mean, still they should just sell those things as games, not. But
Yeah.
oh well, that's where they've gone.
It would have been nice if this was the expansion pass that just covered all the Nintendo first party games. If you subscribe to this thing, you get all the Smash DLC. You get for all this stuff. It's like they're kind of half game pass. But no, it's not what it is.
Yeah.
Then it'll probably be good value.
It is not.
But at the moment, it is not.
It's generally bad unless you want to play Animal Crossing for a year or less. Then it's a
Then
little
it
worth.
just about adds up.
Okay. Randy Pitchford stepped down as CEO of Gearbox.
Is he starting a full-time Magic career?
No, it's because now that they merged, he's gone up in the scale, and now he's in charge of the Gearbox production world. So he's in charge of all the movies as well as the games.
good.
He's more powerful than before. But I loved how it was first. It was like I was like, he hasn't gone. He's been given more power than ever. Dude,
I really wanted to see him on Penn and Teller's Fool Us.
that would be good. I do feel I don't know. I don't know if Randy's could be a dickhead, but I don't know if
He
he's
seems
fully
okay.
in Monster Loud or anything. I think he's just I kind of do wish he would just have more public fun and maybe be.
I feel like he does about as much evil as you just kind of have to when you're in those positions.
Yeah, when you're a primary, I think is he the sole owner or just the primary owner of it? Because it's
I'm not sure.
private, it's not publicly traded. But I mean, I guess they did recently sell, but they sold with making him the boss. So anyway, yeah, Randy, what an interesting, entertaining fellow sometimes. We had cancellations of the International and also Evo event. Blah 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 blah. There was very strong rumors, and then a very very convincing leak of the Warner Brothers Multiverse fighting game, where you can fight Gandalf against Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
A+.
And Are Real Monsters are in there, aren't they?
No, you're thinking of Nickelodeon.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's it. So this was this was what's that? No, Harry Potter wasn't confirmed. I might need to bring up the image of it. Give me a sec.
All I remember is Gandalf and Scooby-Doo because that's the fight.
Yeah.
Gandalf versus Shaggy is the fight.
That we've been
of
waiting
the
for.
century.
Yeah.
Yes, the leaked 13. There was an original character in there, and then there's so Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Batman. I'll just go to the properties. Superman, Gandalf, Lord of the Rings, Rick and Morty, Tom and Jerry, Bugs Bunny.
See what we
looks like-
need.
Who's the new character?
It's just said unknown character. It was a weird thing, but it looks like the pictures have been pulled, so I'll have to go somewhere else to
What
see
we
the picture
need
again.
is a Smash game genre metaverse where all of them are just together.
Well,
So we reckon all NFTs.
Yeah,
it would be amazing.
and it's the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny.
Yeah, so you
Be
can do.
fantastic.
So yeah, that's the whatever
that thing
LOL
is.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Lots of characters in there. Bugs Bunny versus Wonder Woman.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like there are so many companies that own so many IPs that there's lots of potential for fun. You just got to make a good game as well.
Yeah.
The thing
It's
that
the hard bit.
the thing I couldn't believe about the Nickelodeon thing, which almost sold me on it until there were no voice lines. I'm like, well, that seems
Why
like
would you
half the
not?
fun of these characters. If
Or
Powdered
point-
Toast Man doesn't yell Powdered Toast Man as he grabs someone with his buttocks,
Just what's the point?
yeah, kind of. Like that's the thing with like Smash. Like there are your competitive scene, and that can fuck right off. But you know that's a part of the environment there. But it's also at its core, it's constant fan service for so many things, and just the wildness that can come out of that is half the appeal for people. So I mean, even if you make a solid fighter at the base, you kind of need all the other fun. It's a party game. The whole genre is party. Let's have some silliness.
What was Sony's one again?
PlayStation Battle All Stars.
Battle All Stars.
Well, yeah, Battle Royale. It was actually called wasn't it Battle Royale
It
All
might have been.
Stars?
Yeah,
It was before Battle Royale.
I just remember. I
All-Stars.
think Big Daddy made his way in there.
Yeah, it's Big Daddy and Nathan Drake. And
Sack-
I have it.
Sackboy.
I have it on Vita. Let's pull it out. Play
Let's
some.
Was Crash in there? Surely Crash was in there.
I feel like Crash
so.
was like no longer a Sony thing by then.
Okay.
Yeah, skip out a few things because why not? Midnight Suns got delayed. That was that Firaxis.
The XCOM Marvel thing.
Yeah. Which seemed interesting, but that's fine. Wizards Unite is shutting down, I believe, at the end of the year. So apparently, Harry Potter not
Add it to the
big enough
list
AP.
of games that want to be Pokemon Go by the same
Yeah.
company as Pokemon Go, and then they decide maybe we just keep doing
So
Pokemon Go.
Because how will Pikmin go?
The same, probably.
Yeah. But
I didn't think Harry Potter. I did expect that one to last a bit longer.
I played a little bit of Witcher Monster Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fine. Like
I feel like we're not in
But-
that kind of realm of those
but
games anymore.
I don't know. Are people still playing them? These.
There's still like Go still has a lot.
Yeah, I know Go does, but
I think
any
that's
of
it.
the new ones.
I don't think anyone's
'cause
picking up new ones.
I feel like the Witcher Monster Hunter had come out around the time of Go. It would have maybe had some people play it, but do people?
I think anyone trying to release an AR walking collectathon game in the last year is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? People love being outside.
Because
Walking
no
around.
one's been going anywhere.
Yes, especially yeah.
Not even
Yeah.
I do, and I love walking.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gone. There was a little wholesome direct mini where they showed off a bunch of games. We're not going to go through them. They all looked pretty
I want
cool,
that cat game.
except for a cat game called Little Kitty Big
I want
City,
it so badly.
which is joining Stray as very highly desirable cat games with the absolutely I'm not a cat person, but those animations are very
It's
very good.
fantastic.
Yeah. If you like cats and cool 3D platformer explorer games, check out Little Kitty Big City.
Is it out yet?
No, not yet.
a video.
Don't know if it's got a date.
Is it coming
or anything.
Switch? No, I can't see a Switch icon there.
No, just PC. I think at the moment.
When release soon, cats don't have deadlines. Well played.
Good times, but yeah, it's very attractive. I mean, hopefully it sees success and then can port to other stuff. I mean, a Short Hike's coming out on
All the
I think
things.
PlayStation and Xbox was already on Switch, and that's what a year and a half, 2 years old now. Yeah, small teams, takes a while to port. Cool stuff. Cool things. Speaking of things delayed, the Playdate has been delayed, and the Steam Deck have been delayed.
Yeah.
I think the Playdate one was battery related.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah,
they
they
got bad batteries.
They got bad batteries. They found that it wasn't getting what they wanted, and now they have to go get all new ones.
But they've had to do a chip redesign as well.
Because I think they were saying that part of the problem was that the chip they were using, the CPU, they hadn't been able to get for like a year and a half or something.
Super short supply. So they did a redesign to be able to get a more available one.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But, it'll come up. This is the thing. I don't really care about delays on the whole. Slightly disappointed with the play date because I like the idea of it being a Christmas thing.
I want one.
Yeah.
But I know it's going to show up.
And also the play date isn't something that is going to date.
Yeah.
No.
Because it's just a unique, anachronistic thing anyway.
Yeah.
Well, if it came out in 10 years, I'd still be as excited for it. So fuck it. Like, PlayStation 5 came out. Honestly, if the PlayStation 5 was coming out this year, it wouldn't really have made a big difference to me. It's like, okay.
It's been a year.
Whatever. Yeah, it feels like... I mean, there have been some good games on PlayStation 5, but it does feel light.
Like a whole year.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's like even like you've got your Series X.
My Series X gets more love these days.
Oh, I mean, I don't think any of them get love, but it's like all the experiences on both consoles are like, we can do all of them.
I don't feel like I've missed out not having a PS5.
You've only missed out on like 2 games.
Yeah.
And with you literally miss out on no games.
Yeah.
But they're still like good to use and everything. Like, because there was some discussion about like, why would anyone get a console now? It's like, well, if my video card died, I'd probably get an Xbox instead of a new video card because it's cheaper and I can actually buy one.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, I find that the Game Pass has definitely seen me do a lot more Xboxing recently.
Game Pass is good. I spook it far too often. There was a new Steamworld game announced. We don't know much about how it plays yet, other than it being a third-person multiplayer game. It's called Headhunter. Its little trailer has some robot cowboys, as is their styling, having a sharpshooting contest. Well, not sharpshooting. What's back to back? What's you shoot each other? What's the shooting
like
each other called?
The 10 steps.
What's it called? Duel. Doing a duel.
You
Thank you,
the
Sam.
word duel?
I did forget the word duel.
I was like, surely it can't be duel.
Yeah,
It could be.
It could be.
Second guess myself.
My
What
favorite
complex word
my favorite
is it?
poet singer, Jewel. Anyway, and one gets shot and it goes over and it has no head anymore because the head's running at the other person and attacking. So we're expecting some
a literal headhunter.
Yes, we're expecting some disembodied, maybe like Headlander from Double Fine, but in a Steamworld world. Those guys just get more ambitious each game, so I actually don't care what it is. I'm sure it's going to be good. Wiggle Wiggle is my note to talk about the car in GTA. That's very good. Bobby Kotick's in a lot of trouble because it sort of turns out he knew about all the Blizzard Activision shit for a long time.
It might be his undoing.
It could. Well, it's not going to be his undoing. Like at most, there's the company's like doing a walkout to say like he should be removed, and he may be removed, and it's like that's it, Bobby. You take your billions of dollars and go get a higher paying job at a different company. That's the end of this because he's too rich. He's star of Moneyball, Bobby Kotick, isn't going to see any real repercussions in his life. We're going to charge you the highest charge we can charge you. $20,000.
Yeah, it's a sad reality.
And he still wouldn't pay it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, there's nothing. Anyway, that's most of the stuff. Unless you have thoughts. Let's go back to some games we've been playing. So there's one that I wanted to do. Okay. Let's do Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah.
Because I feel that my thoughts, again, much like Halo, are very brief. I played Forza Horizon 5. It's pretty and it's a good car game.
I agree.
Oh, no, I do have more thoughts. I do remember a few things now. One, and I'm stealing some of these thoughts from someone else. It may be the most insanely positive game series ever created. Everything you do is great. Hey, great driver, you're here. Yeah, you're the best driver in the world. Way to almost hit that car. Way to hit that car. Everything's great. This is fucking amazing. Holy shit. The way you fucked up, great. The way you won, amazing. Oh my god, you're the best racer in the world. And for some reason, you have 4 prosthetic limbs.
Yes, well, they've gone the inclusive route of letting you have prosthetics, which Halo does as well.
Yes, I think I found the prosthetics in the character creator very funny for a few reasons. Not because prosthetics are bad. Prosthetics are great. So you've got like, pick your face, 12 faces. some hairstyles. Oh, we got 20 hairstyles. Prosthetics. Here's 40. Because it's all like, oh, you do this one on the left arm or this one on the right or maybe both arms. So it's all combinations of things. But you could have just had like select the limbs as a thing and then the style of it.
Yeah.
But they've just made it like a 4-page long thing of choosing your prosthetics versus all the other character creation thing, which is very basic. I'm like, okay, cool. But the weird thing about the prosthetics, they're magic prosthetics because they've done no special animation for them. So they just
work like arms.
They are fully animated, like just
fully
a regular
articulated.
arm, using all the hand.
They are the most advanced prosthetics money can buy.
Like, oh, this is an amazing future.
in this world, I can suspend my disbelief enough.
But the worst thing is that those 12 faces, they still haven't made sure that the animation rig looks right.
There was
all of them.
the first face I chose was I couldn't tell from looking at it, but his lips were like duck lips.
Yeah, I built this woman, and she just the edges of her face were always turned up like Joker victims from Tim Burton's Joker. I was looking, go like, did anyone look at this with the animation?
It's kind of amazing that a game that looks
incredible.
It's like the environments, the cars, like it's just beautiful. And then you see the characters and the animation on the characters.
And I'm like,
but
why?
how often do you see the character?
Too often.
Like,
compared
to actually staring at the car.
A little bit too much, yeah.
Yeah.
This could just be a Burnout Paradise driverless
Utopia.
Yeah, it's like dystopia or utopia. I can't choose which one.
Utopia.
I don't really know because they're not terrible, but they don't match the rest of the quality. And then there's the thing that turned everyone a bit creepy, which is at the beginning. Even though you set up a character, it looks at your profile and pulls your name out. It goes, everyone, it's like, and let's welcome Paul. Like, what the fuck just happened? And like, I mean, I that's cool. I like it. It takes me back to my black and white days.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I guess James and I like throwaway references in black and white every once in a while. If you had a standard name that fit their library, it would whisper your name to the wind.
Oh,
I think it was also based on time. I think it's like if you're playing it late at night, it was more likely to do it.
Yeah. Put in a few parameters.
Yeah. What is Molyneux up to these days?
Not enough.
Yeah, bring him back. But other than that, I mean, do you have any thoughts on the racing or the structure of the game? It seems like another one.
I mean, I guess coming back to what I was saying before about like the monetization stuff for Game Pass, there is a lot going on there with like they've got their shop in there and there's like this weird auction house thing. Like there's all this kind of like heavily monetization in there somewhere. I just ignored all that.
Yeah, I don't think I've even seen any of it. I'm just like, an auction house, that doesn't sound like something Paul cares about.
Yeah. But no, it is really more Forza. I kind of feel like you can just pick the one you want. Like I don't know if it's like enough of an improvement to say like 5 or 4. That I'm sure like if you want to play in Australia, you'll probably have just as fun an experience playing in 4 than you would
3.
Sorry, 3 than
4
you would.
Was in the UK.
UK was 4, wasn't it? Yeah.
With the world's most flimsy stone walls.
Like I haven't played it enough to see what it does as like a vast improvement on other Horizon games.
I think it's just like if you want to have a good arcadey time that isn't like a kart game, it's kind of your only real quality choice.
Yeah, well,
unless you're just going to get Burnout Paradise again.
I mean, the rewind
which I did
button,
only a while ago.
The rewind button is like that just takes all the edge off that game. Like it's just you can't be angry at it. It's just like if you because the rewind is so long. Like if you want to go back 30 seconds, just mash that button a few times and then just keep retrying the turn till you get it. It's just it's a chill experience.
I admittedly don't really use the rewind. I feel like the game would judge me.
That's okay because lots of people are using the accessibility options to make lots of money and experience, which means nothing.
How are they using the accessibility options for that?
Just turn on auto steer and auto accelerate and put a rubber band around your controller for... it just fucking drives a race for you.
But actually, speaking of accessibility, this is nice. This is the first game, and it's not live yet, but it's coming soon, and you can tell why because they're bringing in not Auslan, but just sign language, so American and one other sign language support in there. So there'll be a little video of a person down the bottom signing all the content in the game. Like, I think even by default, I think like visually impaired commentary is on and you have to turn it off. Like, it's got a lot of accessibility. But that's the first time I've ever seen sign language incorporated in a game. And you can see why. It's, of course, the very last thing you do, because it's not even just someone doing like a quick voiceover that could do remote. You've got to get to a studio and so you've got to be fucking sure that your content is locked, because that's expensive to go back and fix. But cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
It also has a physics like a tick rate option, doesn't it? As accessibility.
I haven't gone into that far.
Pretty sure you can like slow down, so you can do everything at half speed.
Oh, cool.
So
I mean, why not?
like,
We're just here for
slightly
fun.
better reaction time. Set it to 0.9. Everything's slightly slower.
I don't
But
know.
all the physics runs normal.
That's pretty cool. I don't know enough about sign language and having someone signing to know how equivalent is it in value to just subtitles.
From my communications with people, that sign language can include tone.
Okay.
Tone,
All right,
and there's
okay.
a lot of things that are faster to get across. Too.
Yes.
Okay.
You can communicate faster and more expressively.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I just was curious because I wasn't sure. Like, what's the benefit you get on top of having sign language
it's
over?
like when there's
There's
some really
you
good.
can angrily sign.
You can angrily sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense.
You it's like look at some of the interpreters that have been doing like the festival circuits with artists and everything, and they're like doing their own art form on the side there. They're interpreting. It's not just.
I guess
conveying
the
text.
trick is that it's interpretation.
Yes,
Sign language is a language.
Yeah.
It is interpretation.
Yeah,
It is
it's-
not translation.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not just like spelling out the words or something, which is what I thought when I was stupider.
And I learned.
Okay.
That's good.
That's right. That's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Rainbow Billy and the Curse of the Leviathan. But before we do that, this thing called Elden Ring that this guy's been
Ah.
playing.
Yeah, I played Elden Ring because I got into the technical test.
So, on a scale of 1 to Dark Souls, where does it sit?
slightly above Dark Souls.
Oh,
I've played it for 2 hours. There were 4-hour chunks, 5 4-hour chunks you could play with. I played the first one for 2 hours, and it was exactly enough time for me to go, yep, this is what I want.
So,
Time to wait till it comes out.
Paul's questions. Because I watched the sort of gameplay reveal thing, which was like 16 minutes of Starflow. I felt like it showed a lot. So actually playing wise, is it generally more forgiving than Souls?
It's Dark Souls 4.
Uh-huh.
That's slightly more forgiving.
Because it being an
But
open
not
world,
in terms of the intricacies of how combat works.
yeah, I sort of meant
It's
more
forgiving
like, yeah.
because you can get around things
Uh-huh.
more than actually being forgiven in its
Okay, so
mechanics.
combat seems as harsh as a Dark Souls.
There's some leeway. Like there's parrying's a bit easier because there's now 2 types of parry. Like there's an extra window to get like a half parry off.
Okay,
Um,
that's a nice
things
change,
like the
actually.
dodging and stuff seem improved.
Yeah.
Like it still feels like you're playing Dark Souls, but like it felt a little more reactive and responsive.
Is it just set bonfires again? Or
Yes.
equivalents?
So bonfire equivalents, just scattered around the world, and same as Dark Souls. If you rest them, it respawns enemies.
The one thing I
The thing I
heard-
do like
yeah.
is that, like, there is obviously a path it wants you to take through the game,
Uh-huh.
and when you rest at a place, it shows like a little gleaming light coming off it towards the next
Where you should
one.
be going.
Yeah, so there's a little
That's
bit of
cool.
guidance
So-
in there.
can you just run to the next place?
Yeah, or you can take your horse and just go
Yeah.
past all the enemies and.
And it looked very friendly to co-op play, which
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't touch the co-op, but it's pretty much like anywhere. There are places where you are more likely to be able to just co-op at random, and spots where you activate like a little shrine, and then a big area around that shrine is like that's where the summon signs show up. But once you're actually into co-op, you can just
play through the
you
game
just
with
play
someone.
co-op. And like there are spells and stuff that are specific for co-op. There's like buffs and things like that.
Yeah,
So-
that seems cool.
So one of the things to think about when I'm playing through a Souls game is a lot of it is like you're at a bonfire, then you kind of push, creep, get to the next bonfire,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's about learning everything along the way,
Yeah.
so I can do it again quickly if I need to.
So the thing to look at with Elden Ring is you have the big overworld map,
Yeah.
which is very Breath of the Wildy in terms of like there's just stuff.
Because that one
can
you
go
just
do.
you could just basically get in the horse and
And
run there, right? Like
there's like there's named areas you can just go to.
And
there's
putting down
enemies,
your own
there's
markers
items.
and everything.
Yeah, you can put down the markers and do whatever. And then, like, half of those places you go to, there's a cave or a staircase down, and you go into what I would like to term is a micro dungeon of Souls.
Yeah.
So like all of those areas in normal Souls games, cut them in half, take the half of them, chuck them in as a dungeon, and every single one of those has a bonfire at the start, and that's so you get the bonfire at the start, and then you can go through that.
Okay,
dungeon,
so the open world's like
and there's an item or a boss at the end. And
okay, so it's like the open world's sort of like hub world with stuff
a little
to do,
bit, yeah.
and then you can go
Yeah.
to the individual. So
and there's bosses just roaming around the open world too.
So do you find did it feel like you're losing that feeling of interconnectivity, like finding
A
shortcuts?
little
and
bit,
things?
yeah, because the shortcut thing's not really happening as
Yeah.
much. Which I guess is one of the big things that Souls does really well, like coming back around. Whereas now it's just you're just in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I don't think it
less
loses too
verticality of
much.
the whole thing. Yeah. One of the things I read about that I quite like the idea of that having certain groups that fighting them and defeating them will refill your
so
consumables.
it's not just certain groups; it's almost all of them.
Oh yeah.
But the amount that it counts as matters. So like, the first place I went to was this bunch of ruins, and it had like a bunch of normal enemies, some dudes that didn't want to fight, and some dogs. And if you kill all of them, you get some of your flasks back. And I think like the bigger the group, the more charges you get back when you kill them all. But it pretty much means that you can go spot to spot without having to rest and respawn enemies. Because if you kill a whole group, you get some back. If you do it really well and don't use any while you're fighting them, you can regain ones you've lost at a harder fight. The other thing I noticed is that it has a full day-night cycle, and enemy spawns change.
Oh, okay.
So there are different enemies at night than during the day. When you rest, you can pass the time, but it does just pass while you're playing as well, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
Does having George R. R. Martin involved?
I don't think it matters.
Well, I was wanting to know if that affected the storytelling
I think
at all. Or
what has happened is that Miyazaki has decided he's not making any more Dark Souls games. Dark Souls is done. But what he's going to do is he's going to make a Dark Souls game and not call it any of that.
Yeah, he got
And I
George to
think what's
come in and
happened
give him
is-
some new names.
He's done what he wants as far as lore and monsters, and then he's gotten George to maybe tie it together. That's what it feels
So
like.
does it-
Very like obviously I haven't touched.
I thought
barely
from
anything.
What I heard was
I think
like
it's
kind
huge.
of the other that he came in with some like based like names of the world
Yeah.
and like lore concepts.
But
and then I
it's still
thought it
very
took
much
the other way.
like the Souls design is still
Yeah, oh,
in there
yeah,
on
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like some of those those enemy designs that don't
It's
seem
like
like,
the
a George
first
R. R.
few
Martin
NPCs
thing.
I encountered are basically like, oh, here's the Elden Ring version of the Dark Souls NPCs that we know about. Like, here's the Elden Ring version of the Onion Knight. Here's the Elden Ring version of Patches,
I
which
was
he tries to
immediately
put into
thinking
all of
Onion
his
Knight
games.
also.
is it just still patches?
No, but he's actually a rat folk now,
Okay.
which is kind of
Nice.
cool.
So-
the other thing, I know I've just forgotten it. Never mind.
Well, we
it's
can always
fine, yeah.
we can always circle
Yeah,
back around.
It's like it feels like the next evolution of the Souls games, and it has a lot of the good things from all of them, including Sekiro and Bloodborne going on. So like you can because there is now just a button to jump and a button to crouch and stealth. You can Sekiro stealth around enemies. You can crouch down to stealth and sneak up right behind someone and stab in the back. Like you can approach things that way instead of just Dark Souls. As soon as you get near, enemies turn around and whack you. But yeah, it feels like a good evolution to that whole genre, I think, and it's huge.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. It looks sexy. Okay, let's talk about Unpacking.
Oh, that was the
sorry,
other thing. It played quite nicely on my base PS4.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's cool.
Like, there were a few stutters, especially when I had to fight a dragon, but otherwise it played pretty smoothly.
But what about that PS5 ray tracing, which I always notice, and I can always definitely tell if ray tracing is turned on or off in a game.
I'm honestly never sure.
Fine.
Does Halo have it? I saw some reflections that looked nice,
I
and I
re-
thought they might be ray tracing.
I remember seeing some like on-off comparisons for the medium, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I looked at it.
There's some stuff where you can tell, and most things you can't.
Oh yeah, well, especially when there's like a window that is a half reflection or like some things like that. But like so many of the shots, I was like, "This is a find the object." I'm literally looking for it. It's like it's that shadow. That's that shadow slightly different. Great. Oh, the world's actually reflected in
In that puddle.
No, more so like the polished handle of that cane. You can see like the world's actually wow. But the general overall image is still exactly the same. I'm like, Control has some of the best stuff, and still most scenes it's not noticeable. Anyway, one day We'll see. Cool. So Unpacking. Brief disclaimer at the beginning of discussion of this game. We are friends with the people that make this game. And more so than most things, like we do things with
You
them
don't
at PAX
just
and
know
everything.
the people.
Yeah. They come over for dinner and things like that. So Unpacking has been, I wouldn't say surprise in its lead up, I guess. I didn't really expect it to get as much attention as it did. This game I actually saw on like the fucking news. I'm like, damn, it was on the news. Like, it's a little indie. It's a little indie game about unpacking boxes as you move into various homes throughout your life, and it's really, really cool. So it's isometric pixel art, and very quickly you learn that there's got to be a lot of art in this game, because as you take things out of boxes, basically you start with a room, it's got some boxes in it, click on the box, take an item out, and you're going to keep taking out items until you've taken the last one out, then the box packs up, and you got to get all the boxes and unpack everything. Not everything can go anywhere.
You got to put it in the right place.
Got to put it in the right place. If you're like a kid and that's too much, you can actually even turn off that requirement. You can just put it anywhere if you want. But it's like a light puzzle game, but primarily it's actually a storytelling game. And it's telling its story almost entirely through the objects in this person's life, which is in sometimes like very simple, like, oh, she's graduated from university because now I have her diploma and I can put it on the wall. And other times in more subtle ways, like clothes that remain and clothes that change, and items that are kept and items that discard, throughout. I could tell quite a robust story in that. It's very just like cathartic and satisfying to just unpack and rifle through someone's stuff. A few weeks ago, well, I suppose a little bit longer now, James has a bunch of old game boxes. We love our old PC games. And like, it's time to... These have been in here for like 10 years now. Let's have a look at them. So we decided to sort through them. And, we did a couple of hours, but I could have done more.
There's something about just opening a box and taking shit out of it and looking at things.
Cool.
I'd forgotten so many
triggering
things
memories
that were in that box.
Yeah.
Or boxes. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that there's part of me that playing through this, like, sometimes I kind of wish there was like a little commentary, like a comment. But I also think that probably would ruin it. So it's like, it'll be a different game. So yeah, you start as a child, and it starts in the late 80s, like 89, I think, and it goes till 2018. And so this person's growing up, and they have, at first it's like you're unpacking your first personal bedroom as a kid. You got one room, then you're moving out, and you go, oh, look, I've got a bathroom and a kitchen to go into here, and I'm in a share house, and now I can't touch any of the stuff that's here because it's not my stuff. So I've got to fit myself around it. And then as that starts to include like living with partners and such as you grow up, those dynamics are very interesting, and not wanting to go into it because it's not a super long game. You'll do it in about 3 hours, I think. But the attention to detail is fucking great. Later on, one of the characters that enters the game, and you never interact with these characters, all the thing is unpacking. They have a different cultural background. And it is then just interesting of like combining different, like what items can be given priority, and you kind of build these characters, like they are set characters. They're obviously written, they're like, this person's into this and everything, but you then sort of get to interpret as you do it. But I think my favorite thing is just the amount of bullshit that they put into this game. I was playing like the first time through, and I'm like, is the light through the window changing? No, that'd be stupid. Why would you waste art assets in that? So I went back and I let it run idly on the thing. So yes, all the clocks in the game do progress. They don't progress in real time. Actually, it's actually I went to two because I wanted to confirm like what I and I'm like, how's it work? It's like, well, the more you unpack, it speeds up time. So you're supposed to sort of be going through a period of the day. And so, yeah, as the time progresses in the game, they actually change the lighting through. And that's when Tim let me on his favorite little bit of bullshit that's in the game. So throughout the game, there's normally a music player in most periods. And you can start that and you can listen to a bit of music that the character's into at that time. Tells a little bit about their story, bit of fun. rotate the music player to face the wall, and it gets muffled.
The audio design in this game is absolutely bonkers.
It's spectacular.
It's absolutely bonkers.
For a game that in concept is so simple, its execution is the fact that you like T-shirts. Well, you put them on a hanger, but you can fold them up and put them in the drawer.
Yeah.
You do this. The DVDs that they stand up. Every DVD has a recognizable but legally distinct artwork for a film that we all know because we're the exact right age for this. They've got a GameCube, inverted commas for people that can't see, and a Wii, and all those games, very obvious what those games are. So it's a bit of a nostalgia rush for people in your like 30s to 40s as well. So and I have quite a few friends that found the game very emotional. I think I didn't so much because I'm a cold hard robot, but also I just was having fun with the little details and trying to solve the little puzzles in it.
44,000 Foley effects.
Is there?
Yeah.
It is.
I think one of the guys tweeted about it because someone clipped a video of like just moving one item to lots of different places and it's a different sound every single time. Like, yeah, it's 44,000 Foley effects, and it's all based on the different items, where you're putting them. You can shake items around, and they'll make different noises depending on where they are in the room when you're shaking them. Like, everything is, it's bonkers for an isometric pixel art game to have like that immersive of a soundscape. And I don't know which person on the team it was that responded to it, but they basically just said it's the one thing where like if you do it right, no one's gonna ever notice.
Oh yeah, shit.
But boy, do you notice if it wasn't there.
It's just got a lot of really subtle things that all work. And every once in a while, when you're like, you can't put an item on a thing that you think like it should be able to go in there, you're like, oh, but also you generally get puzzled. Funny little Twitter sort of thing. Kids did not know what a GameCube was.
Yeah.
They thought it was a kitchen appliance.
Why is it saying it's in the wrong room?
Why does it have a handle?
Yeah, because the best design ever.
Best portable console.
Where was I going to go with that? Oh yeah. So I think the less discussed unique feature of the game is actually playing the game with other people. It's one of the things that I've heard spoken about by the developers during the actual design as well. Well, you know, they design they design things to go in a certain way, and then you give it to someone from a different country, and well, not even different, just different people, but the different nationalities have stronger differences, it seems, and they do not put things like that in cupboards, and it became a real like interesting focus point for design, but also just like playing it with other people is like a good like conversation starter, because you can do a lot of things in the game, like the fact that, you know, you want to put your toothbrush and toothpaste in the bathroom, you can put a cup there and you can put them in a cup, pretty standard, but the fact that they thought about doing that, it's great. And actually that's one like this is I don't mind spoiling, this is a small thing, because the cup that you can do that with, you can take through your entire life. I did think like about a different game design where you had to make the choices of what to pack up at the end of houses. I'm like, as a narrative design, that's much harder. But yeah, it's such a unique little tile based on such a medial task, but everything works and is satisfying. And so, you know, they wouldn't like me saying this, but as we all know, I hate my friends. Quite an expensive game for technically 3 hours, although I have had fun going back to it. Because it's about $30 Australian. But also, here we go being Microsoft. Bruce again. It's available on Game Pass.
It's a Game Pass, yeah.
So...
You really got no excuse.
Yeah.
Like...
Because I played it on Game Pass, I bought the soundtrack. Like, some money for now.
Can you just give them money?
I could.
At that point, just bypass everything else.
PayPal them money.
It'd be faster. I'll just buy them lunch. It'll be fine. But yeah, I think... it's a really cool, and it's done really well. I don't know what the actual numbers would be or anything. Not that I'd say if I did, but I don't. But it just seems to be like getting around the place. It's cool to see. I'm very happy. All I know is that I think so. The previous game, that Witchbeam is a studio, they made Assault Android Cactus, which was a twin stick shooter, really slick. So I believe that the first day sales of Unpacking were more than the lifetime sales of Assault Android Cactus.
Okay.
That game's fucking good. And it's on pretty much all platforms. So I also recommend Assault Android
Assault
Android Cactus, which is a very, very slick twin stick shooter.
I am glad it's done well for them.
Yeah.
Because the very first time I played it, I was pretty skeptical of the concept. Because I think I played it back in a Go years ago.
Yeah, it's been at least 3-4 years.
Yeah, it's been in development for a while. And yeah, I was like, oh, okay, I saw what it was. Like, okay, it didn't kind of like the concept didn't sell me straight away. But now that it's like a finished thing, and then kind of seeing the reaction to it, it's been.
But it's also such a universal like concept that it does appeal to non-gamers quite a lot as well.
Yeah, well, because when I started playing it, like, Cheryl took one look at it. I was like, oh, what's this? Like, I think it's just because the concept is so relatable. Like, it's just such a everyone at some point has had to go through a box and think, all right, where does it go?
Yeah. Like, plus, we all like being nosy and looking at other people's shit.
Yeah, so like I think it's it's like it's doing a few clever things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to hear that it's done well, because I could see that's a risky game to make.
Yeah, and also because it's full of references, it's got Assault Android Cactus figure in it.
Yeah.
But also, if you start up one of the game consoles, it has their next game that they only revealed last weekend, Tempopo, which is a cool little halfway between Choo Choo Rocket and Lemmings. That was fun. So check out that. Who knows how long that's going to be away. Somewhere between a year and 7. Probably close to the year. That's Unpacking. And have we shilled enough for it yet?
Yeah.
Pay them $30 twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Rainbow Billy and the Curse of the Leviathan. Now, this game is, let's call it a little bit of a Paper Mario-ish RPG. I wasn't sure what it was. I got sent code for this. I was in hospital at the time, and I had Metroid Dread. And for some reason, I put in I put in a lot of hours into this instead of playing Metroid Dread. So it starts up, and I don't know what the tone is. So you walk up to your Rainbow Billy, and everything's happy, and it's like, oh, this is great. You walk up to a bin, and the bin goes like, everything can be garbage if you believe enough. I'm like, okay, who's this for? I don't know. So, good thing, bad thing. It's very like accessible genre. It's a colourful world, and very quickly you piss off this big dragon, the Leviathan, and it sucks all the colour out of the world. It's black and white. You're going to bring colour back to the world. What an original concept. Never seen that before. Anyway, it's a kid's game. But let me describe the combat to you in the simplest terms. It's turn-based?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, first thing you do is you get to talk to the person you're fighting. And they have a number of chits, and they're all blank. You don't know what they are. If you give them the right response, normally making them feel better about themselves, because it's very much about making friends and like helping people through problems, it will reveal the color of some of these chits. And then you can play out your creatures that you've collected. And each of those creatures can have up to 3 different colors on them. So you have to choose that creature, put it in a lane that could attack that enemy, and make sure it's using the chit that's going to add to it. And you basically have to fill up their list. So you can guess. So like you could say like, I bet there's a bunch of squares at the front. So if I put in like, they only do 2 squares damage each. So if I put in like 2 people doing square damage, I bet that'll wipe out all the squares there and fill it up. So you have multiple lanes, I think up to 3. It could be later further in the game. And then once you do the attack, the first character in each of those lanes, you'll play their minigame. But depending on how many characters you've put in each of those lanes, the minigame will be more difficult. And then you clear it. And then, of course, you will get a lot of the creatures because will have their own gimmicks to it. So for instance, one thinks you're cheating if you do everything perfectly. So you have to deliberately make a mistake in the minigame. Stuff like that.
Okay.
So, fucking the best brought in, non-confusing combat system like ever. Like, there was not a second where I'm like confused by any of this. I was like...
Because it sounds confusing.
I took a step back. I'm like, there's a lot going on here. And also you have to then get relationships with all these creatures so you're collecting cards, which are these creatures which you're then powering up and getting on. And often if you're playing the card first in a lane, they'll have a special ability if you unlocked it, so it might reveal a chid or give you some health back or something like that. And kind of the problem is, because it's I would say it's aimed for say a 10 to 12-year-old. And it would be a good leadway into a more complex RPG. But I'm like, oh boy, I wish it was a bit harder because fuck, I like all of this shit. It's one of the more complex sounding things, but it is introduced so smoothly and everything is so clear and well communicated to the player. And to the extent that one thing I mentioned where you have to deliberately get something wrong. The first round, I'm like, hey, why didn't any of my things hit? And then I saw what he was actually saying. I'm like, and then I just tested it and it worked. And other than that, it's like Wind Waker. You got a boat, go around, but because the colors out of the world, you can only travel where it's colorful, and you got limited fuel, so you have to island hop and free someone on each island to extend it out, and so it's all very neat and well designed. And if you just want a casual RPG, it is still fun as an adult. But you're not going to be challenged, and it's obvious. You're going to parts of it. You're going to hear I'm 40. I understand the power of friendship. But boy, that kid that's not quite old enough to play a full blown RPG yet, but is interested. Oh, I reckon 100%. I was very impressed with it. It's and I didn't know what to expect from Rainbow Billy and the Curse of the Leviathan, but actually quite cool. Okay. Things that we catch up on. Sam has almost finished Deathloop.
I have almost
finished
Deathloop. And by almost, I mean I know exactly how to finish it. I just haven't yet.
What are your updated feelings on Deathloop?
I still really, really like it because I'm the person who likes these games. But it falls off a bit. There is a point at which, and it's much earlier than I thought it was going to happen, there is a point at which you don't need to care about keeping anything you find or picking anything up because you've got your loadout.
Okay.
And once that hits, it's slightly less on the okay, I'm going to be stealthy and explore and figure out all the secrets, and more okay, I need to do this one thing because I need to do it so I can do the one other thing in the next time period. So I'm going to get in, do it, and get out. It becomes a very different game.
I did kind of find it was
and I was expecting it to happen. At some point to be okay, there's a point where I'm not exploring, I'm just achieving. But it was much, much earlier than I expected it to be. And I have a lot of loose ends, which is why I haven't actually finished it yet. And the game is hinting at the ending being an actual whole new space to work in to do the actual finale. But I'm just trying to tie up lots of loose little ends of I don't want to leave puzzles unfinished. So now I'm just trying to figure out the little things.
Yeah, I did find that the game and it was one of those things that I was skeptical about when we started looking at how the time loop actually works and everything. I'm because I want an Outer Wilds.
Yeah, which it isn't.
And it's actually quite heavily directed. And almost you could almost see it as just a linear game because we learn because there isn't, as far as I'm aware, you couldn't just start the game and do the things you need for the finale.
No.
You need to actually go through the steps, and the game needs to take you
there. There are some things you can skip past.
Yeah.
Because you can find out the information that it tells you to go find out.
Yeah.
Through the other steps, but there's definitely there are a lot of things that you have to do in order to progress.
Which is still fine. It's still a good game, but it does it loses a little bit in that promise of a time-based game where it's just
there's one thing, for example, without spoiling any of the specifics, obviously to kill 7 people in one day, some of them end up grouped together.
Yes.
And there's one where once you've done the thing that groups them up, that's it, you've done it. So they're now in the same place every day, every night, because you've done the thing in one loop.
Yeah.
It's now every loop from now on that's been done because there's another entity that remembers through loops.
Yeah.
And that's the entity that does the thing. So there's a lot of weird. It's still a very linear, story-driven game. Yeah. It's very much an arcane sim, what pretty much what we wanted it to be, or I
Yeah.
wanted it to be. But it's definitely fallen off.
Yeah, I think that's fair from
But
what I played.
I'm looking forward to how it ends.
Yes, I still don't know
because from
what
a
it's gonna
story
do.
standpoint and what like the concept behind it all is really fucking cool.
Yeah, I do like the story, and I do love the performances. I think it's a really fun.
It is
universe
beautifully
they've
written
created.
dialogue all the time.
Yeah, I think because
So-
they had the Game Award nominations came out today, and it was like best performance. I'm like, Cole or Juliet?
It's pretty good.
It's like they're both pretty good.
It's fantastic.
Who else is on this list? I don't care. So, just those ones are very good performances. Cool. Okay, James, you've been playing some more Disco Elysium recently.
Yes. So picked up Disco Elysium for Switch.
Yep.
Also got the Switch OLED.
You
He
idiot.
did it. He did it. He caved. He said he wasn't going to, and he caved.
Yeah. Can you imagine what kind
You're
of...
the odd
What
one
kind,
out,
what kind of
Paul.
monster wouldn't?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll never go.
Paul
Never go.
definitely doesn't have
Paul
one.
definitely doesn't have one. I've started playing Disco Elysium a few times on PC,
Uh-huh.
but I've always just sort of like stopped. Not because I wasn't having a good time, just something else would come up and I'd do it. Where now I've got it handheld, it's much easier to just go, I'll just play some. And it is a good portable game. Probably with the exception of the load times, because they're long.
How long?
They,
How long are they?
I haven't timed them.
Just use your feeling. Just use your heart.
They feel like a load is of maybe 20 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
Like not 3-4 seconds. Like,
Is this like if you were loading between like the interior of a building and the outside?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And especially some things you need to go in and out. And every time, that load.
If you go
takes a while.
outside to get a shoe,
Yes.
does that count?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, and like when you're in the apartment complex and you have to kind of go in because you have to go in to go out in other areas to get to different places, and it adds up.
Maybe I'll wait for the Steam Deck.
Yeah. But I mean, apart from that, it's Disco Elysium.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes,
An
it's-
average game. From an average year of games.
Unfortunately, I made the fatal mistake of letting Cheryl watch me play it on the TV, and now she is kind of invested in what's going on. So I feel bad whenever I play it handheld, and she's not watching.
Oh well.
I
Just do it anyway.
I hate Disco Elysium because every time anyone mentions it to me, I'm like, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna start again though.
But you have to start again.
I'm gonna
yeah.
do this time.
It's probably it's definitely gaslighting. But what you could do is play it handheld. But when you finish playing it handheld, go back to where you were.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's the same position.
yeah.
And then next time when you play it on the screen, just pretend like you have.
Oh, I
it.
haven't done
Nothing's
this before.
and
happened.
stuff's just
Yeah.
weird. Because I'm sure it wouldn't be noticeable for some things.
But I've been
such
having a good time
game.
with it. It is very good. It's a good chill out game because like it is. I guess like because you can't fail. There's no way for that. I mean, I guess you can technically
You can die.
die
It's
technically,
not, but it's not failing.
But it's like there is no wrong answer. Like you can just like One of my favorite parts I hadn't hit before was like I wanted to get money and I got the idea of like where do you get money? Rich people have money. And I just find a rich person and ask them for money. And so I
It
found
always works.
I found the rich person.
Guaranteed.
And I'm looking at the dialogue options, and one of them's like, "You're rich. You have money. Can I have some?" And I'm going to pick that one. And what I loved was it wasn't about my character asking the question. It was another part of my brain chiming in and going, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You can't ask people for money." And then it just becomes this internal dialogue of like me trying to convince myself, "Nah, it's cool.
Yeah, you can totally
I
do
can
it."
just totally ask some money." Oh no, I asked for that money. I got some good money. She was fine with it.
Does crying help get the money? Because that's always my go-to in that game.
The old pity cry.
It's like, where's your gun? Cry in response.
Like the way I've been playing it is just like I kind of have this idea in my head is I'm basically John McClane. Where
Okay,
like I'm a cop. I'm pretty good at being a cop, but I'm also really broken. And any opportunity for drugs, like that's it. I'm 100% in. And
of
drinking,
course.
like if it's like and wherever that will happen to take me. It has already made me, and maybe this is part of the Disco Elysium problem. Like you can already see the branches as you're playing through, and you're like, it's like I feel like I'm going down a branch, but I kind of want to go, well, what if I was to play it this way? But to do that, I have to start again.
And even then, there's still RNG.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you've made this character, you still can't do that.
Because like one of the things I'd like to try is because like whenever it comes to whatever the details are of the trauma that your character's dealing with, I'm always like fully in. I'm like, I'm just gonna like go down this rabbit hole of like I want to like know what's going on in with this character. But I'm assuming you can just play like a denial run.
Yeah.
Where you could just go, I am going
to
ignore all my personal problems.
Of course.
It's the correct way to play, as in life.
Yeah.
and like
bottle it all up.
I really want to see that side as well. Like if I play through and just like 100%, anytime I start to go anywhere dark, I'm like, no, there's no bout.
No, thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah. Oh, you seem a little bit politically charged. I'm going over there.
Also, as you said, play as fascist. I would like...
A fascist run is quite appealing to me now. I'm like, I've been so liberal and accepting for so long. No. Reject every time someone offers me to become a racist. I'm like, no, thank you. Like this time, definitely.
I got the status quo offer. I don't know if you hit that one. So if you are neutral enough times, the game just sort of like, because I guess like the way it'll work is like it'll track like are you being like ultra liberal, ultra fascist, do you like ultra free market, or you just keep being non-committal? And if you're non-committal enough, it's like it opens up like do you want to just like embrace like not change, like that, or the fact change will happen but it'll always be slow. So it's like the status quo, like this is the one you can go for.
I feel like I'm kind of I might fall for that in real life quite often. It's still a great game. Okay. So I promised I'd talk about this earlier in the show. Jett, the Far Shore.
You said you were going to love it.
I was quite hyped. Not because I thought it looked good. I thought they deliberately didn't show much in the previews. I think that's true, and I think part of that is because it's fucking terrible. Super Brothers, makers of Sword and Sorcery, the original super hit mobile indie game, which is still like the icon of that kind of game and invented a new pixel art style and fucking wrote a check for these people to do whatever they want. So they took like 10 years plus before they made a new title, and they didn't tell anyone about it. And it's called Jett the Far Shore, and we knew it was like flying a ship, but sometimes you were like an Inuit looking person walking around on the ground. And okay. And I was like, well, these guys have had all their money, all this time. If something was broken, they'd just cancel it and do something else, right? Right? They wouldn't release a broken, shitty game that's just a chore to play and just makes you want to fuck off and die instead of playing it. But no, they chose another route. So it starts really cool. So you're on a planet. Now, basically, the planet's dying, and you're being sent off to populate this other find other places that you could live. So it's like you're saying goodbye to your family, and like I like it. It's like a minimalist style. It's like obviously futuristic tech, but still very tribal. You're actually there as I can't remember your role has been but basically you're a spiritual contact in it, but also you can fly a ship. So you say goodbye to everyone, get in your ship, you fly off to go to the big ship. And the whole population is there crying, it's like, oh, yay, people save us all, or whatever. And then you're on that ship for 100 years. And you're alive at another planet. Uninhabited planet. It's like, cool. And the game is played, even though it's a flying game, you don't really fly freely. You're more just moving on a 2D plane. You can sort of pop up and down, but you don't. It's not freeform flight. You normally play it at quite a distance from it. So to give you like a sense of scale and everything. They also made it look like really murky. So it's a sense of murkiness and everything looks terrible. So you go off exploring the planet, lots of flying. You have a few abilities in the ship. Basically, they all just sort of come to the same thing, which is a pop. So you can go pop and you shoot up in the air for a second and then you come back down. And you'll be doing that a lot because it's kind of how you interact with everything, and also combat, because they don't give you any combat abilities, but they do make you fight shit a lot.
No guns.
Yeah. I didn't really know why the fighting was there. I'm like, okay. Because especially, you're in like a jet, you're in a flying thing, but also they don't want you crashing or anything, and they have you going through tight corridors sometimes. There's a lot of just awkwardly bumping into things because you're not that maneuverable, and it feels terrible to control. And I had this big battle in the first sort of, I suppose, second mission, where they're like, "Oh, you've got to make noise to drive this thing away. Go to these things." I don't know what those are or where you're telling me to go. But the other people have already done it, so I guess mission success. Good work, me. Are these things good or scary? I don't know what... Anyway. And also, they decided what would be very good was to have talk all the time. Great. But, these are aliens. These aren't humans. So we're going to invent our own language.
Oh, no.
So everything has to be subtitled all the times. And because everyone sort of speaks like an emotionless robot person in a language you don't understand, I don't even know who's talking to me most of the time. I can tell the difference between like some characters, but most of them are just the same. So, great. Awesome to be playing a game where I'm supposed to sort of immerse. I'm always reading subtitles and I don't even know who's talking. And plus, no one really has a personality because they're all just kind of stoic robot people. I'm like, great. I can't wait for Whitehead Man to talk to me again. Weird thing is, I actually haven't tested. I don't know if there's mid-mission saving, because one of the things it does is when you go start a mission, it goes like, yes, welcome to the intro. Please set aside 50 minutes. I'm like, okay, get up to mission 1. Please set aside an hour and a half. Like mission 2. Please put aside 2 hours. I'm like, well, nice that they warn you of the length.
Please stop increasing.
And you might be, and you certainly would be able to pause with the PlayStation and everything. But yeah, the actual content I felt like I went through in that first, I reckon you could have done in 5-10 minutes. I was like, this is not because it doesn't feel good. And that's the core thing. I expected you just be skirting around on this cool skate jet, and it would feel really nice exploring the world. But like they've got a thing where, suns come up and when the sun's setting, it like saps all the energy from your ship, so you've got to get into shadow. But you're a fucking plane that can't control its altitude, so you're like trying to bump your way into gullies and shit, and it doesn't feel nice. I'm like, maybe I'm terrible at it, but I mean, I did look at other reviews later, and they were also pretty terrible. I still kind of want to know if it goes somewhere, but I also don't want to struggle through it.
Does it feel like it's something... Because we said for 10 years, right? And then they just dropped it, like, out. Yeah. So is this something that just happened in a vacuum? And
I have no idea.
They just got no feedback along the way.
I might look in and see if there's some interviews or something. But it's just like, did they just do it without consulting anyone or looking at other games that existed?
And they just looked at the same game for 10 years.
Shut themselves in a room.
Yeah. It's like, we've injected 10 years into this. We have to. It must be good. It's not good. But for a little flavor changer, Mon Amour. New game from Onion Games.
Yes.
Is that out now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look, I'm going to be honest here. I'm a sucker for Onion Games, even though I don't like half of them.
Shit.
But they do weird shit. Like, between Blackbird and this, they're both a little too simple for as much as they charge. Yeah. I think this was like somewhere between $13-15. And it's Flappy Bird. It's a one-button game. It's a one-button game, and you got to move across the screen, got to kiss someone. And every time you kiss someone, they join your little chain of people flying around to kiss the next person, and buildings, or depending on the level, things grow down that you have to go across. And if you grab food or big enough love hearts, it pushes the things back. That's kind of all the mechanics until suddenly there's weird mechanics. Because it's still an Onion game, which means you think you know what it is, and then just suddenly there's an orgy on screen. Or
layers, like onions.
Yeah, just weird shit goes on.
But it's not Dandy Dungeon.
But it's not Dandy Dungeon. It's not Million Onion Hotel. It's probably not even Blackbird. Maybe it's probably about the same as Blackbird. So for people like me, it's got great music. Fantastic music. It's a little bit too soft, very bloomy. I kind of wish I could turn... Like, I don't know if I ever liked Bloom. Like, even when it's done subtly, I'm like, you still could just not do it. It's a cool little oniony thing. And honestly, maybe not full price, but if you're interested when I'm sure it'll be on sale one day. Or if you can get it on a phone even.
I also do just like the idea of giving that team money.
Yeah, I just like onion.
I wanted to
please don't go out of business.
Yeah, just I need Dandy Dungeon too.
Yeah, like I know not every game can be Dandy Dungeon.
Yeah. Danger
zone.
Oh man, I was amazed by like I got to look up again. Maybe it's happened since, but no one's like collected all the music from Danny Dungeon. Like I'd buy the fucking CD. Like no problem. Give it to me. It's so good. Okay. How we? Most things that I've been playing some Moonglow Bay. Which is a sort of fishing town simulator thing. I might give it a bit more time another day because I do have thoughts. I've been put quite a bit in it, but it feels like one of those games that like, boy, 6 more months could have been. Mwah. But you will get back. I think we'll give it another time because I don't think we want to go crazy long today, do we, James? Putting everything on you. This is but I do briefly want to mention. So for our Halloween episode on Z Games, they were like, well, what's something spooky and cool we can do? I'm like, you all know about Haunted PS1? And so we grabbed this year's demo disc and we played a bunch of games from Haunted PS1, which if you don't know is sort of a movement of deliberately PS1 aesthetic horror games primarily. There's a few things that aren't horror, but it's sort of that themed. And I finally gave a go to something I saw a trailer of ages ago, Agony of a Dying MMO. And I really, really like this game. But unless it's terrible. But it's just the demo, so I'll find out. And it could go either way. Because concept is that this is an MMO that is shutting down. It's been running for a long time. Hence it looks like a PS1 game. That's very, very low. So, and it sort of takes a few cues from like 30 Flights of Loving, where it edits itself. So a lot of it's very walking simulator, just like basically non-interactive. So you'll play a number of characters which it'll cut between, and you're often just like in a scenario or just literally mid-conversation. And it's people that are in an MMO that struggled, sort of failed, and now it's just like the hardcore and the people that are obsessed with it. So it's the people that are like shit, I put 15 years into this game and I wanted to share it with my kids, but now I guess it'll never happen.
They've got 4,000 hours on Steam.
Yeah, and most people are just like there's like a mystery that never got solved in the game that they're all trying to do. But the thing is also, it's obviously struggled with culture in this game. And it sort of embraces the fact that the edgelords would get into such a thing. So literally, they're like, man, the game really went downhill when they introduced Nazis as a playable clan. And at one point, you get to join the Nazis. And it has exactly the mix you imagine. People that are there for shits and giggles and trolling, and people that are genuinely into it. And there is... in the game, built a church to someone that was part of the community that committed a mass shooting, which, whilst might be on a nose, is exactly the kind of cultures that we do get online. People talking about their mental health and everything in a very heavy, spooky way. That's like, I really enjoyed the aesthetics of it. Now, whether the writing lands in the final thing, whether it just falls on the edgelord side, it could. I don't know, but
it's a thin line.
It's a thin line to walk to include it all, but I did kind of love it all in the demo. And so end of the demo, you're actually sort of with the Nazi people, and you're all suited. You're like, we're going to our final thing to find this final thing, and it just starts dropping all the players. Everyone's like, what the fuck? It's like you're banned, you're gone forever. Game's gone. Can't log in again. So it's just this nice meditative thing. It's like systems get turned off as the game's going. The map disappears pretty early, which also stops them letting you travel very much. It's just cool, and it's a great name as well. Agony of a Dying MMO. It's both poignant and like lovelyly pretentious, which is where I wanted to be. Because it'll do the conversation thing where it's just like, look, these people are having a long road trip. We only need segments of their conversation. So here's 10 seconds now. Cut to a different environment. 10 more seconds. We don't need to listen to the whole thing to get it. I hope it comes out, and I hope it's awesome because I really enjoyed it. But also, as I say, there are risks. But enough of that. Before we finish up today, is there anything anyone wants to discuss that we have not? Oh, I did miss something with Sam. I don't know if you wanted to.
I'll mention it. Lost Ark. It is a Korean MMO that came out 2019, I think. It's being ported to the West by Amazon.
Oh, yes. Because they need an MMO.
It's an Amazon-published MMO because they fucked up their own.
Wait, I forgot because I was going to come back to it. The big news story. New World. What it's a turnaround.
Yeah.
A game that... Because we spoke about it last episode, and you were like... You really
it's like, it's pretty good.
You made it sound pretty good.
It's like, now it's completely destroyed.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think...
Everything's gone.
I think you made the comment I thought was most likely right, where it's like... It was a survival game
Yep.
that they tried to turn into an
single
MMO.
to small group survival game.
It'd be
It was
good
all
for-
peer to peer.
Like
Yeah.
Valheim or Rust.
Valheim
Yes,
Rust type
yeah,
game,
yeah.
and they went, let's make an MMO instead, and then
Yeah.
left everything the same.
Yeah, and just left the same netcode.
So
Yeah.
half the shit's client-sided. You could duplicate items, gold,
they turn-
and experience.
They turned off the
with
entire
chat.
economy the other day.
Yeah, they banned. They had to turn off all trading of everything because people were just duping gold everywhere.
And like,
And you will appreciate this as a developer, pasting HTML in the chat.
yes, because they don't sanitize the text.
They don't sanitize
in the
shit.
chat.
So what you can do is you can paste the HTML that is the same HTML the game puts in the chat when you complete a quest, and it thinks you completed the quest. because the thing being in chat is the thing that enforces that.
Look, I'm not a dev,
It's fucking stupid.
but I know that's a bad thing.
Like, what? So
Do
dumb.
you think they just... Okay, here's what I think happened. I think that
But-
they got a bunch of people who weren't game developers that have been...
Yeah.
That to make a game. And so they were app developers.
Yeah,
that
I
have
don't.
had
I
years of
think. I don't think
experience.
anyone who worked on this has ever touched a game.
Yeah,
before.
and so I think they just... And this, I've seen this from tech companies before, where they just make this assumption that,
Games are easy.
game development is the same as application
Yeah.
development, and I reckon they got a bunch of experienced
Right.
app devs to make a video game.
We know people who know how AWS servers work. We can get them to help with the back
Yeah,
end.
they can write
That'll be
netcode,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's
I
so
was
dumb.
very confused because I was like, oh, who was the director of New World? And it's like Terrence Malick. I'm like, no, he wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very broken. There's a lot of people enjoying it, but it's very
It's such
broken.
a- it's
I
such
think
a
they had
shame
a
because it's-
57% number drop in players in
Yeah.
a week.
It's a shame because it's
It had potential.
Yeah, but
it definitely had the potential.
I think that the problems are so systemic.
yeah.
Like I don't know what they can do to fix it. Like short of like we just need to rewrite
Well,
our whole
that's the thing.
netcode.
Like, one especially with an MMO, when you get to the point where you have to turn off trading because your economy's fucked. You have to do a full reboot.
Yeah.
And no one should ever get away with doing a full reboot
Yeah.
on MMO. I don't know how Final Fantasy did.
I think it's
but
they basically just made
they
it.
managed
I
it.
think they just because they basically made a new game.
And I think that's the one. Yeah, but that's what would
Yeah,
need to happen.
yeah,
and even that is such high risk to do.
yeah.
I think that's the one time that'll ever happen ever.
Yeah, because like they just basically have to pull it, and I don't think they will though. I reckon this thing will just
they'll
kind of it'll just limp
keep
along.
rolling. It's Amazon. They don't care about losing
Yeah.
money off it.
Yeah, but no, they've
But yeah,
got
so
they have another
they are
MMO.
publishing in the West
Yeah.
Lost Ark, which is a Diablo-esque ARPG MMO. And it's a Korean MMO, so the character creator is fucking ridiculous. I made
Like-
possibly one of the prettiest looking
Yeah.
characters I've ever made in
Yeah,
any
and
game.
is this big on the
Black
screen?
Desert Insanity?
Well, it's isometric Diablo,
Yeah.
but here's the kicker. You can zoom all the way in. It's that high detail. Like, even zoomed out, they're just using the,
So-
the stupidly high poly models.
So what Black Desert Mobile does?
Yeah.
Because it's got like Black Desert Mobile has like that same kind of stupid character creator. So whenever you log into Black Desert and Mobile, it starts off with your like really
Oh,
zoomed in
yeah.
your character's face, and it's just looking at
the,
you, like
the,
looking up
the
at you.
picture character menu is
Yeah.
just like the full
Yeah,
zoomed in
yeah.
view. But,
But
when you're playing the game, it's like, no.
Like, no,
But then
no.
it goes into cutscenes and it's all good.
Yeah.
But as a game, once you have to get past the ignoring the Korean MMO armor on everyone.
Does it have the Korean MMO
and the Korean
grind?
MMO pets. I don't know about the grind.
Yeah.
I didn't play enough of it for grindiness. Because it is just their technical test. So you get in, it starts you off at level 10. It lets you immediately pick your advanced class
Yeah.
to play around with all the stuff. Everything's kind of just unlocked from the get-go. Every single... And I actually went back and played all the different classes in the little test zone you get. Every single attack is A, bonkers, B, beautifully animated, and C, flows
Yeah.
really nicely. Like, I don't know if, like, Diablo 3, playing like the monk or the barbarian, where you're chaining your skills and it all just kind of flows through groups of enemies. Every single class is like that, and they're all unique as hell.
Yeah.
One of them is, it feels like I'm playing Bayonetta, but it's as an ARPG. Like, I'm probably gonna play it when it comes out,
Okay.
but it's
What are
definitely Korean MMO, and I find it hilarious that Amazon's publishing it.
What are we looking at here?
There's some information for you on the game director of New World. Just, you can think what you think.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
Scott Lane is his name.
That's more experience there than...
It's a bit
He's
more
been
than
in
I'd
the
expect.
industry for a good while.
Yeah, so, okay, there's some... You know, but like, we're looking at things here like...
None of them are helpful
like,
for MMOs.
Baldur's
but-
Gate Dark Alliance 2.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Unreal Championship, Gauntlet,
I was like,
a
oh,
Gauntlet game.
hey, look, this guy was in QA for Degeneration.
Oh, yeah, he's fine. Then.
1991's Degeneration.
That's all you need.
How far does it go back? Oh, it was on Life and Death too. There you go.
There you go.
There's a game. Oh, actually, it looks like this guy's
He's been in the industry.
It looks like this guy's got chops. So, I don't know what the hell happened. That is
everyone else didn't.
maybe.
is what happened,
I just
probably.
yeah. Like I don't know how you can, like with the new world stuff. Things like how the server wouldn't process events until the client acknowledged it. So they're doing that thing where you could wiggle the window, and it would stop sending acknowledgements back, and you just hang in the air.
Yeah, there's a lot of a lot of the exploits in New World, because I sat down and looked at them, are very much the exploits when WoW first came out that have been well solved by every game since, including WoW.
Yeah.
Like, there is no excuse for any of the stuff they've got going. There are things that you just, like, you can't prevent happening in MMO. Like, I can log into WoW tomorrow and fly around. I'll get instantly banned after, like, a day. But you can do it because there are things that are client-sided. But some of the shit in New World is just... They
made mistakes.
Like the duping one is several examples. Because A, sanitize your chat, just in general.
Well, that isn't not even a game dev thing. It's just
don't
like...
let your chat decide...
Yeah.
Be the deciding factor on whether something is...
And that, to me, seems like maybe this thing was hacked together.
Don't let anyone complete quests more than once.
Yeah. Like that thing of like having the chat be the authority on completing
it's
a
the
check.
authority.
Like that to me says this development must have just been someone was just told we need to get quests in.
Yeah.
You've got a week.
Yeah.
Like
What's
maybe
the best way to
maybe
do it? Just put a message in chat.
And maybe that was the situation. And maybe
it.
in the situation the devs knew 100% what was going to happen. It's just like the working conditions were like
just
we had
needed doing.
Yeah,
I
it could be that too.
Okay, nerds.
I'd love to see a no-clip documentary about New
Yes.
It
World.
would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd watch that. Okay. Well, I think that kind of brings us to the end of today's episode, which is pretty good. Talked about some games, had some laughs.
Probably won't have as long as a
some
gap.
tears.
Hopefully
Maybe.
now on.
Yeah, not having any more surgery.
Yeah.
So that's good. So, thank you for watching or listening to 8.5bit. You can catch our website, 8.5bit.com. Our Twitter and Facebook. Please like and share anything you like on that. Subscribe to us on whatever the hell you want. And join our Discord at discord.8.5bit if you want. I don't know, but I'm not your mum.
And watch Paul and listen to Paul on 4ZZZ.
Yeah, you can. I'm gonna review Unpacking tomorrow.
So you can listen to how good it is and buy it again.
Oh, that's right. And I release this afterwards, so I'm not. But hey, I'm doing an interview with Tim and Ren, and I'm going to accuse them of things. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm Paul.
I'm James.
I'm Sam.
And this is my little spider.
He's very cute.
Which only the three people on the video can see. And he's
Two. I was one of them.
He's from Webbed,
He's
which is a very good local game.
He's very plushy.
Lovely
Yeah.
plushie.
Yeah, it's a good spider. Got to teach Henry to love spiders. Well, see you later, my spider-loving friends.
See you, everyone.